welcome to episode 82 of Shane Talks. Happy New Year! Exactly 1 year ago today, I dropped a podcast announcing the return of Shane Talks without even talking to my co host, Mr. Jason L. Mayer. So 1 year later, I'm very happy to see him on here with me because, like I said, I didn't talk to you about it. I didn't talk to you about, are you ready to come back? Are you willing to come back? I dropped a video on January 1st, 2023, and said, hey, we're going to come back. And luckily, you were still on board for it. So a year later, thank you for being back with me, sir.
You're welcome.
Word. Great introduction. The greatest co-host in the history of podcasting, Mr. Jason L. Mayer. Happy New Year, man. I know today's kind of a special day for you. You want to talk about what's awesome about January 1st in your life?
Which are you referring, sir? I'm kidding. January 1st is first date ever with my now wife, and went to a New Year's Eve party. Had a good time, and then went on our first date on New Year's Day, and the rest is history.
Word. Very happy for you guys. I really like how you guys celebrate together every year. That's pretty badass. So congratulations. So when would that first date have been? What year? 2006?
That was 2006. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Very cool. Awesome,
18
brother.
crazy years.
18 awesome years, man. Very envious of you guys. That's pretty badass, dude. All right. Well, let's how was your holidays, man? I feel like last month's episode we talked about how you had me over for Thanksgiving, so now we can talk about you had me over for Christmas dinner also, man. I appreciate being like the Joey to your family. Like that's really awesome, man. I appreciate it.
You almost weren't there because of your own choosing. So
I know, but that was just miscommunication because I'm forgetful. So I don't have an excuse other than I just completely spaced it. So yeah, you definitely did invite me over at Thanksgiving, and I completely forgot about it until 2 or 3 days before Christmas when your wife was verifying if I was coming over, and I was like, I haven't been invited. And she was like, yeah, you have. I was sitting right next to Jason when he invited you, and you said you'd come over. And I was like, oh, huh. And like, I'm not even an alcoholic anymore. So, like, I have no excuse that I drank too much that night or anything. So, yeah, but cool. I still made it. I still appreciate it. We still had a good time.
Yeah. Besides that, this past on the 22nd, my family did our normal tradition of going downtown, eating at the old spaghetti factory, walking around
the monument behind you, yes, sir.
The monument and what used to be called the circle, the tallest lit up tree in the world or something like that.
The world's largest Christmas tree before it got rebranded Circle of Lights.
Yep, had to be rebranded Circle of Lights because it's not a tree. So we did that. So every year, we go down, we eat at Old Spaghetti Factory, we walk around the circle for a little bit, see the lights and stuff like that. And then on the 23rd, we followed that up with us going to Straight No Chaser for like I want to say it's like our 10th year in a row, but I can't swear to that. I know that we've gone off and on since the 2014 at least. Awesome. I don't think we've missed any, but I can't swear to it one way or the other. But yeah, saw Straight No Chaser, which is always a great time. If you've never been, I totally recommend it to anybody anywhere in the United States. If they're in your area, go see them. They're a lot of fun. They're very silly. From IU.
Do you know how big their tour is? I mean, obviously they come to Indy because they're from IU, but like, do you know how? Is it like a Midwest tour? Is it?
Oh no, it's a national.
Okay. Awesome.
So, and then that was on New Christmas Eve. I got to watch the Patriots blunder their loss to the Broncos by actually hitting a field goal for once in this season. So they ended up winning that game and apparently ending Russell Wilson's time in Denver because he's since been benched. So that was on Christmas Eve. Then we had Christmas with you, and I had it with all my wonderful family.
It was
And
great
got
to see
some,
your dad that day. I hadn't seen your dad in years, so it was
yeah,
awesome to see your
yep.
dad.
Always
And
good
I
to have
love like
him.
the thing I love about like hanging out with your dad was like after we were done eating and we were just talking about movies, like your dad was literally talking to us about movies like he was one of us and like he's always been like one of our like movie talking dudes. Like it was just great to have conversations with him and like he knows trivia about movies and like hearing him and your mom talk about movies that they went on dates to go see in the theater together. Like man, that was just it was like an awesome nostalgic conversation for like nostalgia that we weren't even a part of. So like it was really fun. It was really fun hanging out with your dad that day.
Yeah, and I truly believe my love of cinema came from him for the most part because he was always somebody when he worked at the movie theater, he used to let me go to the movie theater with him to, go to work, and then I'd ride home with him when he was done working for the day. On top of that, like we used to pirate VHS tapes that we've rented from the video store before you could actually buy VHS tapes for 20 or 30 bucks. They used to cost 80, 90, $100 a pop.
Yep.
You're talking about in the 80s. So
Yep.
like today's prices, it been like $400 or $500 for a videotape. But yeah, so we used to rent them from there was a there was a video store on the base in Germany, and it was literally in a trailer. But yeah, so we used to rent videos from this
Nice.
trailer, and that was on the base, and then we'd come home and we had the two VHS decks connected to each other, and you'd put the original in one and you'd put your blank cassette on your blank VHS in the other, and you'd hit record on this one, hit play on that one, and record the entire movie so that you had your own. We were just talking about this today through text. Like we ended up
Mm-hmm.
with so many videotapes and so many titles on those tapes that we ended up actually making a library like of contents essentially. Like so we had a full like um catalog of absolutely every movie that we had, and each tape was numbered sequentially so you could find it faster, and you always had to put it back where it should go. And if somebody did, you get mad at them because of the fact that you can't find the tape you're looking for because somebody didn't move everything back the way they should have. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, and I used to spend so much time reorganizing that over and over again. That probably didn't help maybe it did help my OCDs, things that
Well,
I
and
have.
like I didn't waste time in the group chat talking about this, but like my dad and I were of two different mindsets with this. My dad was very much more like you guys, where he had his tapes and he had his like two ring binder and he would print off pages. It was like on tape one, here's the three movies that are on there. On tape two, here's the three movies that are on there. I just wrote on the labels what movies were on there, and if I decided to record over something, I just scratched it out and tried to squeeze in rewriting the new movie. So I did not have as many tapes as my dad. I mean, like his tapes had stuff that I watched on it and whatnot, but I was far more unorganized back in the VHS days than I am with my digital setup now.
It's a whole lot easier to be organized digitally.
Although,
So
and then, well, I mean, don't get me started because then you got movies like the Fast and the Furious franchise where they're not alphabetically put. So on my iTunes, they're all over the place and not in order. And like that gets frustrating to me. I wish there was a way I could go in and be like Fast and Furious equals F1, Too Fast, Too Furious, which is all the way either at the top or the bottom, depending on which app I'm in. It should be F2. Like so yeah, the Fast and Furious franchise a little upsetting. I think the Harry Potter ones might have. I don't own the whole set on digital, but I think they might have smartly numbered them like Harry Potter one, and then put the subtitle in it so they were in the right order.
I, I don't know if they did that or not. What I can tell you is the other one that infuriates me
Uh
is
huh.
that it's Marvel's The Avengers, and then sometimes it's just The Avengers. And so
Sure.
like Endgame or whatever. So it's like the Avengers are all over the place depending if you're on certain apps as well. So
Yeah, that makes
it's a
sense.
but it is what it is. So we
But
will
yeah,
get over it at some point. But yeah, so that was on
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Then on the day after Christmas, I took my kiddos to go bowling while Letha had to work, and
Nice.
we went bowling during the day, and then that night we went and saw Wish. So
Feedback on Wish. I know we've cut out the what have you watched recently from the show, but give me a quick your thoughts and feelings on Wish.
Wish, on a 5 scale for me, it's a 3 star.
Okay.
It's a middle of the road Disney film. It has a lot of um winks and nods towards a lot of their other content or their
Okay.
other IPs.
Okay.
They do something really, really cool with the end credits
Oh,
to
cool.
celebrate 100 years of Disney Walt Disney Studios. So I thought that was kind of we all really enjoyed it as a group.
Nice.
So I definitely would recommend sticking around for that. But yeah, it was a good time.
It sounds like a
So
pretty decent holiday you had going on there.
it
On
was it was busy couple of days, but yeah, well,
nice. Friday the 22nd, my buddy Matt is he accepted a job in New York State. He's going to work for I don't know if it's a Republican or a Democrat or whatnot. Yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But so I had his going away party that afternoon. He's in politics, so he does campaign management. So he just did Jefferson Shreve here in Indiana, and obviously they lost their campaign, so he had to find a new job. So he accepted one in New York State, in a small town. But yeah, so I'm excited for him. Had his going away party. I got to go to Chris Kindle Mart, which was a lot of fun that day. We went out for a nice dinner. Went out and did some cigars, and then I ended up hanging out with you. And we'll talk about it more later. But you and I went and saw a show together that night, Phoenix on the Fault Line, and it kind of spurred on some stuff that we're going to talk about later in the show. Which it was an awesome time hanging out on Friday night with you and everybody else that we got to hang out with. Um, the Christmas Eve, I got to go over to Garrett and Ryan's parents' house for the second year in a row. They've kind of, much like you and your family, they've kind of taken me in for their Christmas Eve stuff and made me part of their family for that. So we do, I, we do all kinds of different fondue. So like, there's cheese fondue at one point in the afternoon, and then I didn't realize that dinner fondue is literally putting meats into boiling hot oil
what
to cook it. Like I just thought that I've heard of cheese fondue and chocolate fondue, which we then do chocolate fondue for dinner. But last year was my first time ever doing like apparently real fondue, putting meats into oil, and that's always delicious. Like the food was really amazing. So had a lot of fun. We do a gift exchange steal event thing that night, which is usually just a lot of alcohol getting passed around. Like you buy a decent, like a nice bottle of alcohol to bring, or a silly gift or whatever. But yeah, so got to do that on Christmas Eve, spent Christmas Day with you and your family, which was awesome. And then last night I got to go to the Trans Siberian Orchestra for 2007 was my first year going. So like it's not 17 total times because there's been a couple of years that they went to Fort Wayne instead of Indianapolis. So like in there, I've missed at least 2 years, but every year they've come to Indianapolis since 2007. I've gone. So awesome show last night. Lots of fun. I was really excited. I meant to look this up. One of the sets that I always love that they occasionally do is the movie or the theater set. One of their music, they did like a 45-minute music video for some of their songs, and they set it inside an old movie theater. So this is, I think, the third time they've done this set, but the marquee for the movie theater is what the drum is on, and so it raises up to become the marquee of the movie theater, and then you've got the theater doors below it and stuff like that. But then it also lowers back down when it's not story time and stuff like that. So it was an amazing. I was happy they did that set again this year. It was really cool. And for the first time, I've never seen them do this. They put Queen of the Winter Night was behind everybody in the middle of the audience, and they put her in a giant snow globe. So that was pretty awesome. Normally, it's just like a stage that raises up and spins around. But this year, it was a giant snow globe with Queen of the Winter Night in it. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. Like your tradition of Straight No Chaser, I do TSO every year, and this year was really, I really enjoy the show. They did things a little different, which is fine. I don't mind them changing stuff up. I was most happy they didn't do the Dragon song. I'm really kind of sick and tired of their Dragon song. I love the Night Castle album, but like really the only song they do from Night Castle is this Dragon song. It is just so repetitive. Yeah, I'm just glad they didn't do that this year. They still left out a couple of my favorites, which I don't, ever expect them to like. Excuse me. One of them is from their rock opera that they put on Broadway back in the '80s. Gutter Ballet was a rock opera they did in the '80s. There's a song from that they've done like twice that I really love, and then on the Night Castle album, there's a song called Believe, which, as I was thinking about it last night, is really funny that I love this song called Believe. And then there's the whole Ted Lasso Believe thing. Just kind of find it funny the way, the universe sometimes works out that way. But yeah, so that was my Christmas. I had a lot of fun and a
I,
blast also.
I forgot that since we last recorded, I got to perform 4 times with my family.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Sarah was in a dance show for her dance studio, and I got to be a dad elf, and I got
That was a
to.
lot of fun, man. You cheesed it up a lot, man, and you did great.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of being a dad elf is to cheese it up and be as cheesy as possible. So had a wonderful time doing it, had a blast. Won't, if I'm asked to do it again next year, I don't see any reason why I would ever turn that down. So yeah, we'll see how everything shakes out. But
Very awesome.
I had a great time doing that. So
Cool. Well, so to start off 2024, we're going to kind of do what I'm calling 2023 Potpourri, which got a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about eventually. But let's get into our coming attractions, the first part of the show that we usually do. Um, and I got to be honest, man, for my coming attraction for 2024, it took me a while to find something that I'm actually excited about. Like I'm sure some stuff's going to creep up, and like there's a lot of stuff that I'm willing to watch. But as far as finding something that I'm excited about, it took me all the way until June of 2024. And it's kind of not my fault because it's kind of something that got pushed back due to the writer's strike. It changed studios. It went from, I think DreamWorks produced it, but I think Focus Features is releasing it in theaters now. But it's essentially what we all said when we watched it, that it kind of looks like a Sons of Anarchy prequel. It's a movie called The Bike Riders. It's got Austin Butler in it, and I can't remember the female. This I saw her face for a second. I'm drawing a blank on the lead female, but it just kind of looks like a 1970s biker movie. I know there's an older guy in the movie also that I like, and I'm drawing a blank on the whole cast now that I'm trying to think of it. But anyway, I'm excited about that. I think it looks cool. Bike riders in the '70s. It's going to be that almost famous vibe of like the brotherhood and family that you get together by traveling together. Like it's something that will probably preach straight to me. So I'm excited for it, and I think I'm going to like it just based on the preview.
Austin Butler, Jodie
Jodie
Comer,
Comer, yeah, yep.
Tom Hardy, Michael
Tom
Shannon.
Hardy, Michael Shannon, yep.
Um, Trying to see who else is in this. Norman Reedus is in it.
Oh yeah, yep. I remember, yep.
Trying to see if there's anybody else that we know.
Yeah.
You
So
might know
decent
more.
cast.
Well, and what's interesting is it already has a 7.6 on the IMDb, and it's not being
Interesting.
released until June. So,
I
but
would
yeah,
assume I would assume it probably played some festivals before it got pulled because it was supposed to come out like back in September or something. So like last summer it was probably playing festivals or something somewhere. So that's probably how people have seen it.
for me, my exciting coming attraction, um, you decided to stick with movies, dude. I'm super stoked about you and I getting to go down to Disney World in
Oh, I'm
February.
an idiot. Duh. Yeah.
So
Okay.
like
Well, yeah.
that's gonna be at least, what do we have, 5 days of
5 days in Disney.
silliness,
Yeah.
5 days of silliness. So I'm looking
With
forward
your
to
brother,
that.
which is the linchpin that made this whole thing happen. Well,
Yeah,
actually, truth be told, the seed for this was planted on our May the 4th episode earlier this year
by
when we
Drew
talked to
Stafford
Drew Stafford, and Drew said the best time to come down there is in February. And
at the end
so
of February. Yep.
yeah. So ever since then, like we put those gears in motion that like, hey, we should think about doing this. Hey, Dave, would you be interested in doing this? It kind of sucks that some of the other people that we invited aren't able to make it, but like I'm excited and happy that we will be able to go down there together and hang out with your brother because I mean I always love hanging out with your brother. Getting to do the Star Wars stuff with your brother is going to be a lot of fun. And then whatever else we fit in while I'm like I don't care what I get to do. I get to hang out with you and your brother and his family. So that's true. I didn't even I stuck with movies. You're right. I'm an idiot.
It happens, man.
So
That's why
that's gonna be fun.
it's gonna be
Um,
funny.
the second part, like I said, I announced last month that we were going to kick off the my first time. I just felt like it was something that we could drop and not really miss a whole lot. Well, obviously, we can always talk about. So if there's something we really want to talk about, we can find a place to put it in. But we replaced it with Jason's poll, and we still don't have a catchy name for it or whatnot. But then, like, I kind of dropped the ball on this. Like, I should have reminded you that we were doing this. I should have been like, hey, don't forget. Like I asked you to put up a poll every month now on Facebook, and I didn't do that. So tonight, you and I are just going to poll each other. So come up with a poll question for me. I've come
You
up with
just say,
one.
did you just say pull each other?
Yeah, poll each other. We're
Poll,
poll.
totally different than
We're going to
pull.
poll each
Got it.
other's polls, is what I said.
No,
No, no, no,
no,
no, no, no, no.
no.
That's not what I meant. We're going to poll each other's polls. I
You're
don't even
just
know. I don't even know what that means. So you and I tonight will ask each other each a question, and there will only be one answer to it. So that answer will be the winner. So my question for you, Jason L. Mayer, at Christmas time, what is the one Christmas movie that you have to watch every year? I know you're not a huge Christmas movie person, but like to watch one, if you make time for one Christmas movie a year, which Christmas movie do you watch?
you know what's really, really weird is I believe that I've talked about it on this podcast before. Sorry, I'm trying to see if there was a poll that I accidentally put up or put up by accident. Mine's not a Christmas movie. There's not
Okay.
a single Christmas movie that I watch every year.
Okay.
A lot of times, I would say most years, I put on Serendipity. Um,
Okay. Okay.
at some point in time.
Okay.
That's on my list of someone at some point in time. I'm gonna put that on. I missed that this year, but what I
Oh.
didn't miss is my wrapping of Christmas gifts to The Rock. Don't know why I started this tradition. Don't know why it's going on for so long, but this is like 6 years in a row where I put it on, and that's what I wrap gifts to.
Okay.
Um, no clue why I did it, why I started it when I did it, but it's there. That's what I do. The Rock is on. I wrap gifts, and I get
That's
to see
hilarious.
Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery be super awesome and save San Francisco from VX War gas. So, yep,
Dude, that's hilarious.
that's my non-Christmas movie Christmas tradition.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I thought you might bring up the Christmas movie that you and I went and saw together in theaters.
I don't watch it every year though. Like
Okay.
I love
Okay.
that movie, but I don't
Yeah.
always watch Die. So in case you didn't know, Die Hard was in re-released into theaters, and Shane and I went on a Friday night.
Yeah, I
I
think
think we
so.
went on a Friday night.
Sounds
And
right.
then our friend Joe asked me to go again, and it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, and in that same week. And I ended up going both times, fell asleep in the second one because I was really tired. And I love that movie, but I had just watched it a couple of days earlier.
Sure.
So yeah, Die
That's
Hard is not a go-to every year
okay.
for me. Yeah.
Understandable. All right, man. Hold me. Hold me.
What is the one Christmas movie you have to watch each Christmas season, Shane?
So look, obviously, like I don't mind this question, but I feel like you kind of like cheesed yourself out because like now it's going to be a tie, like my answer versus your answer. So like there can't be a winner to this question. But mine that I do watch every single year, multiple times a year, is the one that I talked about. It is Secret Santa. That's genius. You're so smart. Like, how did you know that? Like, it's like I talk about it all the time. And like, it was my number one Mount Rushmore Christmas movie last month. But yeah, it's Secret Santa. I don't miss it. Now, granted, there could be a lot on this list. I watched Home Alone multiple times in the past month. I've watched Home Alone 2 multiple times this past month. I watched Love Actually a lot of times in this last month. I've watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I've watched Elf multiple times. Like, and when I say multiple times, sometimes it's like I'm going to bed and I put it on and I fall asleep to it. So, I watching the entire movie. Like maybe I mean, I've definitely had it on and watched the entire movie while I was awake. But every night over the last month, I would put on a Christmas movie and fall asleep to it. So and then I really, on Christmas night, was happy when I went to sleep. Nickelodeon was doing all of the Friends Christmas episodes in a row. So I jumped in the middle of that, like season 4 or 5, and got to watch multiple episodes of that, which just made me happy that I didn't have to keep changing it on HBO Max. Like, I couldn't make a playlist that had all of those in a row. So thank God Nickelodeon did it for me. So that was cool. But yes, my answer to your poll question is Secret Santa, which is tied with The Rock. I'll get to it in a second. I'll ask you if you want me to go first or second. But our Mount Rushmore for this month's episode are the 4 favorite movies that you watched in 2023. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
2023 sucked.
I 100% agree.
It sucked a lot.
Yep.
I'm looking over everything that I've watched either in the theater or was only released on streaming and I had to watch at home and I didn't have an opportunity to watch it at the theater.
Yep.
And out of those, I am having the ones that I do want to pick, or the movies that I am going to pick, are none of them are outstanding movies. Every single one of them. I've seen 50 in the theaters, and that includes the special edition Abyss re-release. And out of those 50, I'm having a tough time picking 4.
Yep.
But yeah, just overall, 2023 was quite the disappointment at the theater. I'm hoping at some point in time, movies will kick themselves in the nuts and pull their big britches back up and start actually making films that are worth watching again. And it might be because me and you stick to mainstream more so than we do to art product, and that might be our downfall right now.
Maybe. I mean,
because
it definitely could be.
Well, and we have our friend Chris Schneider, friend of the program, who has on multiple occasions talked about how some of these movies were absolutely fantastic, but it's all stuff that's art product that's probably going to win awards that I've never seen, don't have any intention of watching. The only one that I was kind of interested in, I didn't find the time to go to. That was
probably on my list, or not
Paul
on my list.
Giamatti.
Yep, The Holdovers. That's on my list of ones that I wanted to see that I didn't get a chance to yet.
Yeah. So, but since I've been ranting now for a little bit,
well, and I was going to say, like, I completely agree with you because of my top 4, there's only one that I actually think is an excellent movie. Like the other 3, I liked them, but like of the top 4, like if there's nothing other than my number 1 that I actually think is an amazing. So I was going to say the same thing you did, that this year was an extreme disappointment for movies over.
And like I said, hopefully at some point they can flip it around so we can be a little bit happier when going to see movies. Maybe we are spoiled, maybe we know too much about how the filmmaking process goes, and we're watching a bunch of mainstream movies that everybody likes to be spoon-fed absolutely everything, whatever the case may be. My number 1, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. My number 1, looking at this entire list of what I watched, is Air. Like, we're not even going to jump around, and because I have a sneaky suspicion that that's your number 1 as well, and that it is, you're right, one of the only things that's an actual film, well done, well produced, well acted, like everything about it is better than everything else that got released this year.
100% agree with you.
My second, my third, my fourth, I'm gonna say oh man, this is tough, man. Oppenheimer is up there. It's in my time. I'll put it on my Mount Rushmore. I don't know where it falls in there. Talk to Me is up there.
Talk to Me. Oh, the horror movie.
The horror movie. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Okay. Yeah,
for being good. What it was, not having any stars in it.
Hmm.
It had to rely just on its story and its execution. I thought it was creepy and weird and different enough when it came to horror films
I
that
don't
that's the reason
remember us going to see that together. Did we or did we not?
I thought you saw that with me.
Okay, I can't like for some reason I was thinking that like I went and saw it by myself because I didn't have anybody to watch it with, but I could be misremembering that. But
No,
hold
no.
on.
But yeah, so those are three out of my top four. My fourth one, I could literally like just throw a lot of these at the wall probably and be like, oh, that was the best one. That's my number four. But Sound of Freedom was good, but it wasn't as great as I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
Mario Brothers was a nice attempt, and at least it gave us the universe, but
yeah,
Sonic's still a better film.
agree.
Um, my fourth one. I think I have to go with Gran Turismo
Really? Okay. I mean, that
because I
was
just was
fun.
not expect I was not expecting to have as much fun as I did at that movie.
Nice.
And David Harbour is really good in it,
Agree.
as well as everybody else. And I've read something and it was like Orlando Bloom's character never did this, and this took a lot longer than it does in the movie. And it's like, no bleep. Like, obviously, this is a dramatized version of what happened in the real world. Like, duh. Based on a
Hmm.
true story does not mean we are watching documentary.
That's true.
So
You are
I know
true.
that. So that's my
Word.
top four. So Gran Turismo, Oppenheimer, Air, and um, oh my gosh, what was the other one I said?
Talk to me.
And Talk to Me. So those are my top four for the year.
Word. So over the last week, I've been trying to knock out some of the ones that I missed in theaters or things that were only released straight to video, and I tried to get the things that I thought might be able to make my Mount Rushmore. And unfortunately, of the three that I watched, none of them made it. This week, I I took time away from my Christmas movie watching to watch Leave the World Behind, the Netflix movie with Julia Roberts and Kevin Bacon and Ethan Hawke and Mahershala Ali.
Oh, okay.
It's getting a lot of
Essentially,
coverage. What's
Obama
that?
produced that one, right?
I think so. I think somebody told me that. It was sold to me that it's very much a Black Mirror episode. It's very much like essentially an apocalypse happens and you don't understand why the apocalypse is happening. So as the characters are trying to figure it out, you're trying to figure it out. But Julia Roberts' family Airbnbs a house, and then they show up at the house and their electronics and everything stop working. They can't get a TV signal, and then all of a sudden Mahershala Ali shows up at the door and he's like, "Hey, you guys are in my house. All this weird stuff's going on. So we came here. I know you paid to be here, but like this is my house. So I want to stay here while all this is going on." So then it creates a lot of tension between the two families and like it's a whole lot of paranoia stuff. It's a whole lot of weird things happening. It's a whole lot of there's a lot of political undertones to it. I'll definitely say it was a Black Mirror episode feel, but it was one of the ones that I don't like as much as the ones that I do. So and part of the reason why I was excited is everybody told me like it ends on a really bizarre moment and then you don't know what to expect. And it does. I mean, they're not wrong about it, but like it wasn't one of those big ambiguous things that I thought was exciting. It was just like, oh, that's how you're gonna end this. Oh, okay. I mean, like it didn't suck, and I was very enthralled in it while I was watching it, but it just wasn't that good. It's just okay. I also watched The Killer on Netflix, the Michael Fassbender movie. Um,
Oh yeah.
it's essentially just him playing an assassin, and like another one. I watched it. I thought it was fine. Do you remember Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yeah.
How like that was a very slow burn spy movie, but it was probably a lot more accurate to like what spy life is really like. I feel like this is probably like same vein. Like It's not a big action movie. It has a couple of fight sequences in it with some hand-to-hand combat, but overall, it's just more of this is a spy whose friend gets killed, and so he's just hunting down the how and the why that happened, and it's him just slowly finding leads and finding people to use information against, and occasionally killing people in very assassin-like ways. So again, like I watched it and it was fine, but at the end of it, it also just kind of ended, and I was just like, oh, okay, like I didn't really care that I spent 2 hours watching it. So like I know my buddy Garen that I've talked about before, he worked on the movie, so he's been promoting it a lot recently on his social media. So like I really wanted to check it out. Again, fine movie, just didn't make the Mount Rushmore. And then this last week I also watched The Family Plan, the Mark Wahlberg comedy where he used to be an assassin. It's fine. It's whatever. It's a Mark Wahlberg comedy. It's predictable, paint by numbers, nothing exciting. Had some moments, but again, nothing. It did not crack my top four of shitty stuff that I watched this year. So let's actually. Oh, the one thing that I didn't get, or there's three things that I'm still waiting to watch. One is Rebel Moon, but I've heard terrible things about it, so I'm not rushing out to watch it. We talked about the holdovers that I haven't had a chance to watch yet. And the last one that I actually am sad I missed this year is The Marsh King's Daughter with Ben Mendelsohn and Ray. Um, I am drawing a blank on Ray's name.
Daisy
Daisy
Ridley.
Ridley. The one with her where like her dad killed their mother and then he gets out of prison and like she thinks that he's coming after her and stuff like that.
What is it called? Marsh King?
The Marsh King's Daughter. But on IMDb, it's got like a 3.7 or like a very low rating. So,
5.9.
or 5.9. There we go. So, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. Like, and it's weird because on Apple TV, it's $10 to buy the movie or $20 to rent the movie. So I don't understand the logic behind that. Um, but yeah, if it was like a $5 rental, I would have rented it and watched it. But yeah. So enough of the stuff that I haven't watched. Let's actually get to my Mount Rushmore this year. Number four was a made for Hulu movie or Amazon Prime or Hulu, one of those two, and that was the slasher time travel Back to the Future movie, Totally Killer. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's slasher movie, time travel. It was a fun time. Again, nothing amazing, but enjoyed. My number three this year would have been Hypnotic, because as we've talked about, as okay as the movie is, once you know the twist at the end, it made me really think about everything that I watched. So I enjoyed it a lot more because of that. So Hypnotic is my number three. My number two, Scream 6 is the second best thing that I saw this year. I'm sorry. I still don't understand why you hate it so much. I thought it was very well done. I really enjoyed the plot. I really enjoyed what they did with it. I still had a good time with it. I've watched it multiple times this Halloween. But yeah, so Scream 6 was the second best thing I saw this year. And as we've already discussed, the best thing and the only one on this list that I actually think is an excellent film is Air. It's so well done. Everything that you already said about it. Air is a blast. Air is a lot of fun. So I have two slasher movies and two Ben Affleck movies on my Mount Rushmore, kind of on par on expectation for Shane. What do you want to say? I know you want to talk shit about Scream 6. Like,
Uh, I just you're just fanboying out too much for me, Shane. Like both Ben Affleck movies, the only two Ben Affleck movies that got released, and then Scream. I mean, what is this? 1998, 2000? Like, come on, you could do better. But on that side note, I'm gonna flip this script on you a little bit.
okay, okay. What's up?
Before we go over to Troy's talks or Troy's halftime talk or whatever we were gonna call this thing, I want to do your four. You brought up something, and I'm like, ooh, I like it.
Okay.
Your four worst movies, the Rushmore of worst movies of 23. I'm gonna go ahead.
You start since you've got the list in front of you. I will pull up the list and
I'm pulling up the list of what I got to see. So
okay. All right. Okay.
I'm gonna go with this. I'm going to tell you first. I'm going to give you two right out of the gate that are really easy for me to knock and
Okay.
say there's no way that these shouldn't have been made. There's no way that after they were made that they should have even been released.
Okay.
That is the Expendables 4 and the
Okay.
Meg 2, The Trench. Both of
Ooh,
these
ooh,
movies,
okay.
and while I love Jason Statham and only could hopefully aspire to somewhat look like him for my wife at some point in time, and then just walk in and talk with a wonderful English accent. Um, Obviously not a good one there. But the Expendables 4 and the Meg 2 are two of the worst movies of 23 that I saw in theaters. Um, I am also gonna throw Fast X into that
Oh, of course you are.
because that movie sucks donkey balls the size of your head. Like that movie was so bad that it had no reason to exist. And then every time you thought they jumped the shark, they jumped another shark, and they don't stop jumping the entire theme park of sharks throughout that entire movie. It's god awful. Somehow John Cena will have survived the explosion that he was in the next movie or two because nobody dies in that series. Even Paul
uh,
Walker, when he's dead, is not dead in that series. Um, and then looking through the rest of this, um, oh man, what the heck was that movie? Oh, okay, I remember that one now. You know what? I'm surprised that I'm not gonna put the Marvels on this list. I expected to hate that movie way more than I did.
yeah, it was
That
okay. It
movie
wasn't
is better.
great.
No. And it's not even the worst Marvel movie of all time. I thought for sure I liked it better than the first Captain Marvel for me. Um,
Hmm.
but The Exorcist Believer was bad.
I mean, it
Like
wasn't
they
good,
didn't
but
do anything. They didn't do anything as a surprise. It's the stuff that happens. Like, yeah, not no. It's in my top four worst movies. Oh, it's either that or Silent Night because I really wanted to like Silent Night.
and like Silent Night, yeah, that was not very fun. I didn't think it was terrible, but like the shtick of your main character not talking got really old, and
Nobody did.
or like
They
yeah,
had three lines, and it was all
yes,
the same lady saying the same thing three times.
yes.
So yeah, yeah, not a lot of good came out of this year.
No, and there's a lot that as I'm looking through the list, there's a lot of blah, but
Super
like I didn't
blah.
hate it. Like I mean, like theater camp, like it wasn't good, but it also wasn't like I can't put it in the like worst four of the year.
No,
And like Ninja Turtles, The Mutant Mayhem, it was fine. It wasn't good, but I didn't hate it.
I think it's my least favorite of all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
See, I still liked it better than the live action stuff. Ooh, this
Michael Bay ones,
yeah.
because I was like, you're not talking about the '90s ones.
No. But I mean, like the third '90s one still isn't good either.
What? What?
The
I think
Turtles
you
in
are
Time.
smoking crack.
I
Turtles in Time is a treasure.
mean, we'll agree to disagree on that. It's not a surprise that we just. Oh man, I'm dumb. I'm really dumb.
You're
Um,
fine, man. You're
no,
fine. No, Transform or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is definitely not that good. So,
No, but I'm dumb because I don't know how this didn't make my top four. A Haunting in Venice because I did really enjoy that movie.
oh, so what are you getting rid of?
Um, I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Probably Hypnotic. I could probably take Hypnotic. Like Hypnotic, I enjoyed, but like I liked A Haunting in Venice a lot better than that. So
Okay.
yeah, all
I like
right. Strike that, reverse it, put A Haunting in Venice in place of there. We'll go with that. Um, But let me hurry up and finish going through. I apologize. I
have
didn't
four.
go. I do have four. You're right. I do have four. I'm just trying to make sure that they're actually the four worst things that I saw this year.
I
I
don't know how
do.
you say. I don't know how two of those are on your list.
Well, and actually, this one I think I'm going to take off because I just realized that there is something I hated more than that. Where did it go? No, where is it? What the? I. Oh, there it is. All right, so I've got that.
Oh, poor
And
execution. Good thought process, though.
dun dun dun. Like I said, let me just make sure.
You really wanted to come see me, didn't you, Bella?
All right, I think I've got my four. I
Tried to
think
block
I've
it
got.
off so she couldn't come back here, Shane.
Oh well, we always love having Bella cameos. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go with these. I think I've made it through everything. So yeah, so my four worst of this year. You've already said one of them, the Meg 2. I agree with you on that 100%. The second one, I was really excited for this movie, and I just did not enjoy the execution of the creator.
Yeah.
Like there are moments in it that are okay, but overall the plot, the story, the execution, like some of the acting is like the only redeeming part of it, but like overall I was just so let down with the creator. Like did not enjoy watching it at all. Then the new Transformers movie from this year, I hated it. I've literally not liked a Transformers movie since the very first one. Um,
Fire.
what other Transformers movie did I like?
Bumblebee.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, I'm sorry. Under the Transformers, okay, you're 100% right. Transformers Bumblebee is probably better than the first Transformers movie. So, yes, you're right about that. But as far as Transformers 1, 2, Extinction, Primeval, uh, King Arthur, whatever those other Transformers movies were, I didn't like any of those. Yeah. So Transformers from this year I thought was absolutely terrible. I every time try to go in with an open mind and think and hope that I'm going to feel that like sitting in the theater for the first Transformers when it came out in like '07, like the moment that I got to watch that helicopter or the Huey chopper transform was absolutely amazing. And then the Bumblebee Prowler fight, like that was amazing. Like watching them drive and then transform and then fight and then transform back. Like that first one, really enjoyed it. Like the plot is blah. Like it's a Michael Bay plot, but whatever. But yeah, so the Transformers that came out this year, I thought was absolutely terrible. And then I did not enjoy one single moment of Strays. Um, we went and watched that, and I just go ahead.
I fell asleep.
So yeah, so
I
Strays, I
don't do
just
that in movies.
did not enjoy. So those would be my four worst of the year, and I apologize for slowing down the podcast and not having that readily available to me.
No,
But yeah,
no, no. I'm the one who threw it at you sideways. So,
yeah.
all right,
So
man.
now, as you alluded to a minute or two ago, we are rebranding Troy's halftime talk because it doesn't take place at halftime anymore. A year ago, when we did this reboot of the show, I was trying to stick with a sports theme, four quarters, four topics, with a halftime show in the middle, which that didn't even come into play until after Troy was on last February's episode. And I said I wanted him on a lot, so we're rebranding it. We're just shortening it down now to Troy Talks. So every episode, we're going to shoot over to Troy and Shane and let Troy talk about what Troy talks about. So we've hit that point of the show now. Let's go ahead and go to Troy Talks. Well, thank you, Shane. Been enjoying the show so far. I'm joined at it used to. I see when we first rebranded the show earlier this year. Like I was thinking, oh, Troy's halftime talk, like halfway through the episode. And as we've learned after a year of doing this, you don't really show up in the middle of the episode. You're usually pretty early, or some like rarely. Like now that we've shifted you around, it's kind of late. But I originally like, I don't, it didn't work. So we're rebranding it now as Troy's Talk. So we're here for Troy Talks now. Or Troy Talks. Yeah, Troy Talks. That's what we're going to do now. No more halftime in there. We're dropping a bunch of the sports metaphors that I was trying to go with a year ago when we did the rebranding. So now I'm at my favorite part of the show, Troy Talks. What's up, Troy? How's your holidays, man?
Pretty good. I can't
Good.
complain.
Good. That's
Over and
good to
done
hear.
with. Head for the new year.
Oh, very awesome. Very awesome. All right, brother. So here we are. We've done a whole year of the rebranding. You were on our very first 4% episode we did back in February. That led to us having you on every single episode in 2023. Thank you so much for your time every week or every month. I still say every week way too much. Every month, I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate it. So as we start a new year, what do you have to chat about? Jason and I have been talking about a bunch of stuff that went on in 2023. What do you got?
Um, I'm I really don't like. I feel like 2023 kind of passed me by.
Oh,
And honestly, the only thing I really did was like I did see a lot of movies.
not
That I
surprising.
did do, and so I thought I might just run down a list of the movies in 2023 that I saw that got Troy's approval,
Troy's approval. Okay, cool,
as it
cool.
were. Yeah, like Troy's approval, as it were.
Well, let me
You
see.
know,
Let me see how many of these I've actually seen. This is going to be fun to see if I've seen any of these movies that got Troy's approval.
yeah, we're gonna go kind of in reverse order.
Okay.
I've got these movies kind of separated by tiers, as if there's some sort of like fantasy draft that's going to happen off of these, and you know. But if this were a fantasy draft, I would get like all my picks, I'm sure.
All
Um,
right.
So anyway, I want to start off with just a couple of sports documentaries. These are easily found. They're long hauled, like if you want to spend 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. One is the happiest guy in the world, the Bill Walton documentary that ESPN did earlier this year.
Didn't see
It's
it.
4 parts. I think it's about 8 hours. Bill Walton was just such an interesting cat. He got kind of like swept up in his times. He was kind of like on the precipice of like player empowerment. Like there was just like a lot of things. Dude is
Nice.
amazing. Check it out.
Okay.
And the John Boyce documentary, The History of the Minnesota Vikings,
Didn't see it.
12-hour graphs and charts documentary of the Minnesota Vikings, statistically the winningest team to have never won the Super Bowl
Wow.
in the
This is the
NFL
same dude that
history.
did the Atlanta Falcons one you told me about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same one
Okay.
did the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Mariners, and he has a thing. It takes them a while to do. When they drop, I watch them. They're
Cool.
easily available on YouTube.
Okay.
Pretty fantastic. This one features Randy Moss
Oh.
prominently and in the like straight cash homie era of Randy Moss, and so it was like, all right, check
Nice.
those out.
Okay.
Insofar as the rest of my list is largely narrative. There is one documentary that
That's
makes
all
the
that's on
list,
the
but
sports.
special.
Did you not watch the Beckham documentary? I watched the Beckham documentary.
Okay, so I did watch the Beckham documentary. The thing about the David Beckham documentary is like, for whatever reason,
Uh-huh.
like I don't feel like that guy ever went out of the public eye long enough,
Okay.
and so like it all felt really fresh in a way
Oh,
that I'm
okay. All
like,
right.
I don't need this like. And like, and the thing is, like, it could just be like, that was just like a kind of like happened in my formative years, like, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
like, none of those Manchester United exploits like had strayed like that far from my memory.
Okay.
Um, I still remember him kicking out at, uh, oh fuck, the guy from Atletico Madrid, uh, fuck, it doesn't matter, the Argentinian cat in the
Yeah.
World Cup. Like all those things just kind of like like I was just like, okay, like I watched it and I was just kind of like, this is not. I was like, I don't know that there's enough distance here to like make this like
Interesting.
compelling to
Okay.
me.
I enjoyed it. But then again, I got a man crush on the dude, and it was very nostalgic for me to watch all this stuff and remember, when I was younger and saw it. So, but that's cool. I understand your point.
Yeah,
All right, let's move on to the rest of your list,
and
or the next tier of your list.
all right, this is kind of like the low tier. This is broken down into 4 tiers.
Yep.
This is you know whichever Mount Rushmore president would be your least favorite is these 6 movies, which are all quality movies. I watched a lot of movies so that you don't have to. If they're
Sure.
not on my list, like I probably either did not see them or I have no opinion or I have a very low opinion of them.
Okay.
All right. First movie up on my list is a movie called Scrapper. It's an English movie with Harris Dickinson as a rather deadbeat father who tries to reconnect with his daughter. Um, Pretty fantastic movie. Harris Dickinson is one of my favorite actors working today. He will also feature prominently on this list later. Yeah, good
I haven't
movie.
seen it. I've never even heard
Scrapper.
of it.
Check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, wouldn't have probably.
Yep.
The second movie is a cosmopolitan movie, the type they don't really make anymore, called Passages. It is directed by an American guy. It stars a German actor, an English actor, and a French actress, all kind of like gallivanting around Europe and getting caught in like a weird love triangle. Pretty good movie.
Sounds like something I
The
would dig. I might need to check that out.
Next up are 2 that you may have seen. Yeah, I'm sure
Ooh,
you've at least heard of them.
okay.
The next 3. Killers of the Flower Moon, the Martin Scorsese movie
I have
about the
zero
Osage Indians.
interest. Zero interest. It looks so not anything I would want to waste 3.5 hours of my life with.
I can see that, and I don't know that I ever would have made it through if I tried to watch it on television. But I did laugh myself in the theater, and I was just like, "All right, I'm pushing through."
I don't know.
The next movie is Knock at the Cabin. Did you watch this one?
Oh, yeah, it was okay. I liked everything up till the end. Like it was not the Shyamalan ending I was hoping for.
You can't really like fault them. Endings are hard. Like,
Yeah,
like we can't discount the nuanced performance of Dave Bautista
yeah, that was
because
fine, and
that guy is
it was
fucking
better than
awesome in that movie.
most of the stuff that Shyamalan had done in the last 10 to 15 years. Like it was better than most things, but still, like I was hoping this was going to be his chance to give me another amazing ending that, like he did for a couple of times, and made me happy about it. But I enjoyed most of the movie. Just I didn't enjoy the end.
All right. Then the next one is a little film you may have heard of. It's called Barbie.
I
Um,
have heard of it. I've watched the first 10 minutes of it, and just it was not my jam. It was not
I
for me.
I can as a middle aged man, I can almost see that for you.
Yeah.
But no, Barbie was fantastic. It was
Okay.
beautiful. It was colorful. It was fun. In a year that not a lot of movies were like super fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Barbie, man.
Okay. Well, and it's not
And
something that I'm opposed to ever watching again, because like I've heard it from you. Jason enjoyed it. Some other friends of mine enjoyed it. Like I've heard nothing but good about it. So that's why when it hit HBO Max, I sat down and I turned it on. Like I said, I made it about 10 minutes in, and I was just maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset that night, but I just was like, I don't feel like this is for me. I don't know. At some point I'll probably try to watch the whole thing.
sure, it's on HBO Max. Doing a big rollout. Feel free.
Yeah.
And then the last movie in this tier is a movie called Flora and Son. It is my
Oh,
least favorite John Carney movie.
that's
But that,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, right?
yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in that movie. John Carney, the guy that directed Once and
Yeah.
Begin Again and Sing
Yeah.
Street. This is
All
his
fantastic
latest movie.
movies.
I think he made it for Apple. I was lucky enough to see it at the Can. Good movie. Not
Okay.
like definitely the least of those 4
Those
movies
four.
that
Okay.
I just mentioned.
I'll still give it a shot.
Yeah, that's cool. And then so we're gonna move into the third tier, and
Yeah.
these are all just movies that are really well made by people who know what the fuck they're doing.
Okay.
Just these are movies that I were like, this is good, this is professional, this holds my interest, but like maybe like just did not connect with me like on that that next level that would get it to like kind of like the top 10 area for a
Okay.
year. Um, John Wick 4.
Oh, all right. That's I never would have expected that
I,
on your list because I didn't even like that movie.
Oh, there's that scene at the Arc de Triomphe where they're like in the car scenes or in the car, like, oh my God, dude. And then there's the scene with the firework gun. The
Yeah.
firework gun might be like my favorite set piece I've seen
My
ever
my
in the John
problem
Wick series.
my
But like,
problem with
dude,
this
like,
John Wick movie is it just felt like it didn't know when to stop. Like the fight scene with the nunchucks went on twice as long as it needed to. I felt like they
oh
just
yeah,
drug out all of the stuff. Yeah.
the staircase scene went on for a really long time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was long, it was kind of overdrawn, but like, was I ever like, God, I'm gonna walk out of this? No. I was just like, hell yeah, let's see what happens next.
Okay.
And um moving on is the holdovers,
It's on my
the
list that I want to see.
the Alexander Payne, Paul Giamatti movie. It is everything you would think you would get from like an Alexander Payne, Paul Giamatti movie. It's
Awesome.
good. I never contemplated even thinking about walking out. I was engaged. Um, did it hit me on like any like real level? Like no, other than like it did happen into my appreciation for the 1970s in like a
Oh,
huge way. Um, just both in the way it's made and obviously like the setting of it. Yeah, good movie.
good.
Um, the next one is a movie Showing Up by the Kelly Reichardt movie with Michelle Williams, where she plays like an artist,
Oh,
like a sculptor.
okay. I'm not familiar with that at
Andre
all.
Benjamin,
Oh,
Andre
nice.
3000's in it, so it's got to be good.
Nice.
Um, she's a fantastic director. I didn't really like. These were not the people that I vibed with, but it was a
Okay.
nice little slice of life and singing to the world. It was beautiful.
Cool.
Um, Poor Things, the Yorgos Lanthimos movie
Oh,
with Emma
that's
Stone.
okay. I'm glad to hear that's good. I
Um,
haven't seen that yet, but I want to.
that movie is fucking wild. It looks crazy.
Okay.
I saw this thing where Ari Aster said that the set piece, like the indoors, look like the Cheesecake Factory, and I can't get it out of my head
Oh,
now.
wow. Okay. Huh.
And so, yeah, pretty good movie. I like Yorgos Lanthimos. Like I like all his movies really. Uh, this one, you know, this is kind of like out there is the most. The next movie is May December, available on Netflix. I think it was very highly rated on Netflix the last time I got on Netflix.
Okay.
I saw it in the theater with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore.
That's
Um, the dude from Riverdale gives like an incredible
oh
performance.
yeah.
He'll
Yeah.
probably win an Oscar.
Really?
Um, Good movie, good well made movie. I love Todd
Okay.
Haynes. Maybe not as salacious as I wanted it to be.
Okay.
I wanted it to maybe be more camp than it was, but that could just be like a flaw in me, other than this really well made movie. Um, Next movie, Air. Um,
Oh, yes. My number one
I
on my Mount Rushmore.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know you were a big fan of this movie.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of this movie. Chris Messina Hive. I fucking love that guy, even though like it was nice to see him get to stretch his legs in something that isn't like just garbage genre fare.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, like it was just a nice movie. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck make adult movies for adults at this
Yep.
point. They've been doing it for a while. Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Yep. Totally agree.
It it kind of had like some Moneyball vibes for me in that it's just kind of like guys sitting around talking about business,
Sure.
like guys
Yep.
just sitting around tables.
Yep.
But like I'm not going to like hold the fact that it's not Moneyball against it. Good solid movie. Um, really enjoyed it. Obviously just outside of my top 10. To
Sure.
tell you the truth.
Nice.
And then the last movie in this tier is a little French movie called The Night of the 12th.
Never heard of it.
Um, it may have played Cannes like the year before, like, and
Okay.
just got to America last year. Um, Whatever. It is like the best episode of Law and Order you will ever see.
Okay.
Um, the detective is like fucking baller as shit. Like I was just like, oh, that guy. I want to be that guy. Uh, um, like I said, it's like French Law and Order. It takes place like at the foot of the French Alps, so it's beautiful. The girl gets lit on fire. Um,
Okay.
yeah, pretty good watch, man. Good solid watch. Like
All right.
good, solid, professionally made movie. Like I was just intrigued the entire time. Good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, so now we're gonna move into the second tier. This is what would be like if I was like adherently stuck to a top 10. This would be like what I consider the back half of the top 10.
Okay.
There are like 6 movies, or no, there's 5 movies here, but there's also like 7 movies in my top 5. You can explain it later. Uh, so a little movie called Saltburn.
I've heard
I,
weird things about that.
Saltburn is fucking wild.
I've heard it's pretty weird.
I
I watched the trailer.
I can I can see why people are just like, nope, this sucks. Like this movie doesn't say anything. This movie doesn't say the things I wanted to say. This movie is trash water. And I can agree with all that. And you know what? I still love the shit out of this movie, man. It is like a fucking like hella dark version of like Cruel Intentions, a
Oh,
movie that
okay.
like I love. I
Yeah.
don't know if you I know that came out around did that come out in 99?
Came out in 99, March of 99.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that movie. I
Yep.
will always love that movie.
Hell
It is
yeah.
sleaze. It is trash. So is Saltburn.
Okay.
It's rich people garbage. Rosamund Pike is beautiful. Um, fuck, dude. It's wild. You'll just enjoy it.
Okay. All right. I'll check it out. Like I said, I've heard it's weird, and then I watched the trailer for it, and I was like, yeah, that looks really weird. But
It is
if it gets a Cruel Intentions comparison, I'm 100% in.
it is fucking crazy, dog. It's crazy. The next movie on my list, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Okay.
Um,
I don't feel like I'm the right demographic for that. Obviously, you probably took your daughter to it, so it's cool to hear that that's
no,
good.
actually, like
No? Oh,
I went to see it because my daughter was talking about wanting to see it, and I was
okay.
just like, man, I'd really like you to wait like two years to see
Oh,
this. Like,
okay.
but I really liked it.
Okay.
um, I love movies that take place in the 1970s. I love Rachel McAdams. She should
Oh,
win
sure.
all the Academy Awards for everything that she does. I loved Benny Safdie as the dad was really
Okay.
good. Um, yeah, it was just a really good movie. It was based on like the Judy Blume book.
Yep.
Just a really well made, touching, good piece of
Nice.
movie.
Well, that's cool.
All right. Um, moving along, Oppenheimer. I don't know if you heard of that one. It's pretty big.
Still haven't
The
seen it,
loudest movie,
and Jason
the
has
loudest
convinced
movie I saw
me
last year.
to wait to see it on 70 millimeter because it's apparently being re-released in 70 millimeters. So
Yeah,
I was
It'll probably win. Like, it will probably win like all the Academy Awards. Like if I were like an objective, like if that was the type of like criticism or whatever like thought that I could put into it, I would probably say it's like the best movie of the year.
oh,
um
okay.
but like, it's just really well made. It's craft like to the umpteenth degree. You know there's some good performances. I really like David Krumholtz.
Oh,
uh
okay.
Shout out that guy. um I want to say Benny Safdie's in that one too.
Oh,
Also kicking
really?
some ass. He might have had like a really good year. Uh, I know I'm leaving somebody out and I can't think of who it is.
Robert Downey Jr.
Uh, oh, Fat Damon.
Oh,
We got to talk about Fat Damon. Uh, so it's funny, man. Something happened in the past like several years where like Matt Damon has kind of low key become my favorite character actor.
okay.
Um, and it's like, ever since he kind of like became a middle-aged man and put on some weight, like I
Okay.
thought he was great in Air, just kind of
Uh-huh.
playing like a schlubby type of guy. He's great in Oppenheimer, playing kind of like a more like ground-based colonel,
Okay.
or or some shit in the military. Like he's got a little chub, just a little dad action to him. He's fantastic. Shout out Fat Damon. Like that dude is
Okay.
incredible. Um, yeah. Moving on, a movie that the only documentary that would have made my top 10, Netflix documentary, Wham,
Oh,
about the story of
I didn't
George
watch that.
Michael and Andrew Ridgely.
Uh-huh.
I fucking love George Michael. I love Wham. You should check it out.
Okay.
It's a really like interestingly made documentary in which they are using like all these like interviews that George Michael had done like previous to his death, and then like
Okay.
having Andrew Ridgeley like respond to them.
Oh,
And it's like a
really?
really like it's really like interesting and like kind of like touching like last conversation between them that just kind of like chronicles, you know, the existence of Wham. It's really well made.
So,
It's really
okay.
beautiful. It's fantastic. It's really good like movie about friendship.
Okay,
Um,
that's good. Like when I saw it, I was like, "Do I really need to watch a documentary about Wham?" But I mean, you may have sold me on it.
and then the last movie in this tier, barely would have cracked like top five in a lot of years. Is the Paul Schrader movie, The Master Gardener, with Joel Edgerton.
Not
Um,
familiar with that.
Joel Edgerton. Joel Edgerton is like maybe my favorite actor that like consistently works.
Okay.
Um, I fucking love that guy. I love how like he's able to like kind of like portray this like broken like masculinity without
Okay.
like giving away the game or becoming whiny or becoming like anything. Like you can just kind of like sense it on his face. Like he's just very perturbed by like the roles he has to play in life when he's in these movies, and I just find him to be like a fascinating watch. Um, this is probably like the closest he's gotten to like you know warrior status. Like, do
Okay.
you know that movie with
Yeah. Oh,
him and
yeah.
Tom
I know the
Hardy?
Warrior. Yeah,
Fucking love that movie.
that's a good
But
movie.
this is probably like the closest he's gotten to like being that guy in a movie in a while.
Miracle.
Without
The
giving
guy
it.
that directed Warrior did Miracle, and that's why I would. He seems to
Yeah,
know how to
yeah,
make
yeah.
sportsy
Gavin
movies.
O'Connor, I think.
Kevin O'Connor. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so now we're gonna break into what would be the top five. There's like seven movies. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. Don't count them. Uh, The Iron Claw.
Man, that is on my list. I can't. Jason and I've been talking about going together to watch that. Like that. I love
Um,
the Bears, so I love Jeremy Allen White, and I like Zach Efron for some reason. So like, I'm
Dude,
super excited.
Zac Efron should win like an Academy Award. Like Zac
Really?
Efron is so fucking good in this movie. Like I was just like, I can't believe that I'm like sitting here like feeling real human feelings and emotions for Zac Efron. But here we are.
Uh-oh.
Um, Fantastic movie. I will not spoil anything. If you
Okay.
don't know about it, you don't know about it, and you don't need to.
Good.
Um, Probably like three of like the better like male acting, like macho, like fucking like like really takes a look at like masculinity and what it means to be like man in America and what it means to
Awesome.
like you know all these things through the veil of professional wrestling.
Wrestling.
Harris Dickinson, the guy from Scrapper, like
Oh.
by far my favorite Von Erich brother. He is rad. Um, yeah, Jeremy Allen White is pretty good.
Good.
Colt McElhenney, the guy,
Oh yeah.
he's like in fucking. He was like on Mindhunter. He's in a
Yep.
bunch of David Fincher shit. Like that guy
Yep.
plays their dad, and
Oh,
that
I didn't
guy
know
is
that.
flipping incredible.
Dude, I love that
Just
guy.
hard ass. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
What was it? He
Even
did
knowing the
something
story
other than
going in.
Mindhunt. Sorry, I know he's done something other than Mindhunter that I loved. I'm trying to remember what it is.
I
And
remember the first thing I remember him from is an FX show called like Lights Out, where he played a boxer.
yes, that was what it was. Yes. Well, he was also in
Yeah,
Fight
yeah, yeah.
Club. But yeah, that boxing show on FX is what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lights
yeah, yeah.
Out. There it is. Yep. Gotcha. Cool. Yes, thank you. Yep. He was awesome on that show.
All right. Moving on. The movie Past Lives. It is a movie that is like partially Korean, is partially American. It is about a lady who moved from Korea, and her childhood love like kind of like finds her out in the age of like Facebook, and just kind of the what happens when that happens.
You told me about that movie, I want to say 9 months ago, and I still have not made time for that. Let me see if it's streaming anywhere.
I'm not sure. I really don't know. But yeah, it's well worth your time if it is. Um, the ending hits like an absolute gut punch, um, and you just don't really know how you feel about it.
It's not streaming, but I can rent it, so I may try to do that before next month. Yeah, you told me about the movie and I completely forgot about it.
Nice. Moving on, the movie Priscilla, the newest
Oh,
Sofia Coppola movie,
okay.
um,
That good, huh?
about Priscilla Presley. Um, Jacob Elordi, who's also in Saltburn,
Mhm.
plays Elvis. He's pretty fantastic. Priscilla is beautiful. Like the set design is incredible. They got all these like very stylistic touches, like down to the absolute like finest points. Really expands on like the Sofia Coppola like kind of like penchant for like women trapped by like in the shadows of big men.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
like in the examination of what that does to like a woman's psyche. Really great movie. Yeah, I can't recommend it more.
Huh.
Music is great, even though they didn't have any copyrights to the Elvis songs. Uh,
Okay.
still, still slaps. Pretty
I thought
great.
you were about to tell me that it was an Elvis movie that had zero Elvis songs in it.
Yeah, no, it has one Elvis song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, it's wild. Um, and moving on, this is actually like okay, I guess that Priscilla would have been five. Let's put it that
Okay.
way.
All right.
Number four movie of the year, a little film called Bottoms, by Emma Seligman.
Oh, it's got that
Uh,
chick from The Bear
it
in
has
it.
got yeah, Io Adabiri and
Yeah.
Rachel Sennett, possibly like my new favorite comedy team.
Oh,
I
cool.
love this movie. Marshawn Lynch is in it. He plays their gym teacher. Um, and it's basically just about girls who start a fight club at their high school to hopefully get into the panties of other girls that they like.
Oh,
It's a total like twist on like kind of like an 80s fucking sex comedy.
okay.
It is insane. It is and honestly it's the most fun I had at any movie this year. It's so
That's
fun.
cool.
It's just if you just want to let go. And I feel like that might be like kind of like the common theme like of a lot of these movies is like, dude, I just wanted to have fun. And
Uh-huh.
if you really shot your shot and made it fun and you didn't depress me, like you probably landed in my top 10 this year.
Nice.
Um, Number three is a movie called You Hurt My Feelings. Um, Another in a long line of Nicole Holofcener movies that I absolutely love. It's got Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It's got a guy by the name of Tobias Menzies in it. It's a very adult movie. It's about people who write books and have therapists and have trouble with their spouses. And it was fantastic.
Oh,
Funniest
okay.
movie. Uh, Probably like the most conversationally funny movie. Like as far as
Okay.
like there's jokes, there's lines, that type of shit. That I saw this year. Yeah, great movie.
Awesome.
Number two is a movie called Rye Lane. It is available on Hulu.
Never
It
heard of it.
is by a first time director whose name I cannot remember. It refers to Rye Lane, a kind of like open air marketplace in England or in London, kind of like the poorer part of London. And it's just about two kids meeting and kind of forming a bond. It was one of the most straightforward romantic comedies I've seen this year. Um, it's colorful, it's beautiful, it's funny. It is shot in a way that reminds me of like early Spike Lee movies.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
like Do the Right Thing, and just kind of like it's kinetic. The camera
Okay.
is moving, the colors are everywhere. It's like literally the most colorful and like kind of like beautiful movie. Um, and it's all kind of using like natural setting.
Okay.
Is wild. Funny, fun. You're really rooting for the couple of people. You really want them to get together. Um, Romantic comedy in the best sense of the word. Just a great watch. And
Okay.
it's like 80 minutes long. You could
Oh,
watch this movie
I'm
like
sold.
before you have lunch
Yeah.
today.
Awesome. I'm
But
sold.
yeah, like on Hulu, Rye Lane,
Cool.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the number one movie, I hesitate to call this number one. Ryland's probably my number one movie of the year. Is a movie that I saw at the Indie Film Fest. Is a movie called Hundreds of Beavers. I have no idea how you would be able to see this movie. I don't know when it's going to drop. They kind of just take it from film festival to film festival. It is a movie that I just highly recommend going to see. It's
What is it,
beautiful.
100
It's a
beavers?
largely silent. Hundreds of beavers.
Hundreds of beavers.
It
And
is
it's not a documentary.
It's not. It is a
Yeah.
black and white movie. It is largely silent.
Okay.
It is very slapstick. About a man who wants to set up a factory to produce like apple whiskey in a land that is dominated by hundreds of beavers.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and it's all men in beaver costumes. It is a movie. It is a movie about problem solving and the barter system and alcoholism and wildness. It is violent. It's like weirdly
Oh,
bloody.
okay.
Hundreds of beavers get slain by creative methods. It is fantastic. Run the trailer. Like I don't know. Like you can look up the trailer on YouTube and
Okay.
just believe me now. I saw this movie. It was introduced by some of the men who made it. They were engaging. About halfway through the movie, a man in a beaver head ran through our theater, followed by a man in a like beaver skin cap, yelling, "I'll get you! You run out of here!" Um, the best
Unfortunately,
experience I had at the
Hundreds of
movies this
Beavers
year.
is not available for streaming anywhere or to purchase online. Huh. I'll have
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Well, they're still running it out at the Film Fest, so
Gotcha. It's got like almost an 8.0 on IMDb, so there's a lot of people that agree with you about how good it is.
it is fantastic. To see it is to love it. I followed them, or I gave them as much Instagram love as I possibly could,
Right on.
leading to them following me, which led to one of the greatest screenshots I ever had in my life, which just said hundreds of beavers are now following you. and yeah, it was my favorite movie, made by some Midwest guys up in Wisconsin.
Dude, that's awesome.
Just hilarious. Probably like, I mean, will be my favorite movie for the next like 100 years. Like if it gets released whenever.
Well,
Yeah,
that is high praise from you, and I will definitely take a watch on it.
yeah, man. So I know you and Jason did your Mount Rushmores about your favorite movies of the year.
You.
I just wanted to go over some movies that I hated in a Mount Rushmore setting. Um,
Jason made me do that also, so this is right on
oh,
point with what
nice.
Jason and I talked about. So yeah,
Uh, so because I like to squeeze like lots of things into small spaces.
yeah,
I've got 5 movies on this Mount Rushmore. Just
let's do
don't pay attention.
it.
Number 4 is a tie between the Guardians of Galaxy 3 and a little movie. Actually, no, it's just it stands on its own. Uh, don't bring this fucking animal testing like sad boy fucking emo narrative into what had largely been like the only actual like Marvel superhero thing that I enjoyed
Uh-huh.
up to that point. Uh yeah, I just had a miserable time. I didn't like it. Uh I wanted it to be over. I don't know
Uh,
why I didn't walk out. Uh I was just hoping something would save it, and it was just
sure.
like a buzzkill. It
That's a
was
bummer.
just like an entirely joyless buzzkill that I didn't like.
Yeah,
Um
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was just very middle of the road blah for me.
the third president is a tie is the like tie between Asteroid City by Wes
Oh,
Anderson and Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster. Two directors who've created work in the past that I really enjoy, just missed the fucking mark. I hated both those movies with a passion. As
wow.
I've wanted to hate like almost every Wes Anderson movie since like I think the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I could be wrong about that, but like it's going on a decade now. That guy fucking sucks.
Hmm.
And I was just really bummed out that Beau was Afraid came on the heels of Midsommar, which is like literally one of my favorite movies of the past like 5 years.
Gotcha. I didn't
Um,
realize it was the same guy.
I watched that movie on Christmas Eve, and let me tell you, boy, got me in the Christmas spirit. When they fall from the rock and like you just see their face explode against the fucking stone. Oh wow, what a wonderful time. The number two worst movie last year, the live action remake of The Little Mermaid.
Oh,
Uh,
never saw it.
it like aside from like obviously like the like culture wars controversy that surrounded that movie and all that shit, uh, got lost the fact that that shit was boring.
Oh.
It was just boring. Like the entire time, I just was like, I'm gonna go to sleep because I don't care. All the performances were bad. Um, Turns out underwater like sucks when it's not animated. It looks like trash.
I can
It looks
attest to
like
that. I
garbage
saw
water because it's
Aquaman
like,
recently, and it was terrible too.
there you go, man.
Yep.
And then the worst movie I saw last year was a little movie called Maestro, directed by Bradley Cooper.
Never even heard of
About
it.
Leonard Bernstein. It's probably going to be Oscar nominated for a bunch of shit. It just dropped on Netflix. It's awful.
Oh,
The black and white photography looks great. The cinematography is largely good. It's the only reason I would even recommend it. Other than that, what a bloated, insipid piece of trash. And I'm just like, I'm tired of Bradley Cooper, the director, and I just want him to go back to making movies that are enjoyable.
understandable. Very cool. That was a hell of
But
a great story talk.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah. It was a
Yeah,
hell of a good one, man. That was a lot of fun. I have no
yeah.
idea what we're doing for February. I have no idea what we're doing for March, but I know I've asked you to be on the April episode because I'm looking forward to doing a musical draft with you. That's going to be a lot of fun having you on the real show again. But yeah, that'll be fun. But I don't know what we're going to talk about next month, but when I know, you'll know.
Yeah, man, I'm ready to. I'm always ready to talk about something.
Absolutely, man. And every month, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me this month.
Thanks for the platform. Thanks for a great year. Honestly, like any listener, I just I urge you, go out and find one of these movies on my list. Watch them. Come talk to me about them. Like, get out of your comfort zone. Don't watch the same shit that you're gonna go watch. Like, Wonka sucks. I can tell by looking. Uh,
Agreed.
the Glenn Powell Sydney Sweeney movie sucks. I can tell by looking. Don't waste your
Oh,
time.
no. I do
Just
want to see that though.
find something better. Yeah, I kind of do too. I love Glenn
Yeah.
Powell. Uh,
Yeah, he's
but
awesome.
but just find something different. Find a different lane, even if it's for a day. Expand your mind. Go look at one of these,
We're
even if you hate it.
we're
It's a
going
different
on
experience.
we're going on 24 years of you pushing me out of my film comfort zone. So if you can make me do it, you can make
Trying.
anyone do it.
I try. I try my best.
Awesome,
Johnny
brother. Well,
Appleseed of this shit.
I appreciate all your time, and I can't wait to chat with you next month. All right, brother.
Peace,
All
brother.
right. Well, let's go back to Shane and Jason to wrap up the rest of what they want to talk about in this episode. And we're back from Troy's talk. Yeah, awesome. As always, I appreciate his time. I appreciate hanging out with him. Always fun, always a blast. And he always brings fun stuff to the table. So good time chatting with Troy. So
I do have to give him props though.
yeah, what do you got props to give him for?
And I don't know if you mentioned this when you guys were talking about it at the halftime talk, Troy talk
The
time
former
frame.
halftime talk.
He predicted in our fantasy football draft or the week one or something along those lines at the very beginning of fantasy football season, he predicted that Phil Gould would be winning the championship, and Phil Gould and myself are up for the championship. By the time this airs, there will be a champion determined, but at the time that we're filming this, it has not yet been determined. Please enter here. And then but yeah, so I'm hoping that I can make Troy happy with me winning the championship.
Ah. I mean,
But
so number one, congratulations on that. Both you and Phil were the underdogs, the lower ranked team going into last week's semifinals, and you pulled off an upset of Zach, and he pulled off an upset of Jeff. So pretty exciting fantasy football last week. But yeah, one of the two of you is going to win a trophy for the first time. I know you want to win it so that he can stop holding his trophies over your head. Um,
But at
I'm
least we get a new. At least we get somebody new.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I had an absolutely terrible fantasy football year. And like going back, like Troy and I did 11 weeks of podcasts about our fantasy football league, and it was a lot of fun. And then we just got screwed up the week of Thanksgiving. Um, both of us literally just lost track of time and didn't reach out to the other person to talk about our schedules to get it scheduled. And the next thing I knew, it was after the Thanksgiving games had already aired. So like we both kind of were just like we screwed up. So really kind of disappointed that we did screw up that way because it was a lot of fun talking with him every week about fantasy football. It's also kind of funny because the last episode that we did, we kind of started some shit in our fantasy football league, and we never got to go back and address that and like address. We were trying to stir the pot and we were trying to be controversial about what we talked about. We didn't realize it was going to kind of start a shit show between people. And I know we never got the chance to do an episode to apologize for that because I know it kind of pissed off some other members of our fantasy football group. Hopefully they all still come back because they're people that I do like and enjoy. And I know there was some threats about people leaving the league. So I'm hoping during this off season we can have some owners meetings, flesh out some of the stuff that people are upset about, so that we can bring everybody back, make everybody a little happier. There was some controversial stuff done that Troy and I had nothing to really do with, but we may have steered things in a certain direction. But other people made some choices and decisions that, I mean, I agree were kind of blah, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, whatever happens, happens. We're owners of our fantasy football team, so we get to make choices about who we want to sell for what price. And it is what it is. So I have faith in our commissioner, that during the off season they will address some of the issues that have been brought up, and we'll get stuff resolved. And I'm looking forward to next year because I had a really shitty year. I finished in like 11th place out of 12 people, so I'm looking forward to a new season to redeem myself because this is like I went like 8 straight years without having to pay for fantasy football because I at least hit a spot where I just got to put my winnings towards next year's dues.
Yeah,
So
just making the playoffs, you all automatically make your money back. So
yeah, so this is the first time in like 8 years I'm gonna have to pay for it next year, which sucks. Like I've always just kind of coasted. Like I said, I've been fifth or sixth for the last like 8 years. So we'll see what happens with some extra draft picks for me next year, and we'll go from there. So this is 2023 Potpourri. We've been talking about fantasy football now. The rest of the show, Jason and I just have some random topics, things to talk about, things about this year, things about next year, things about the future, just to kind of shoot the shit, kind of recap a bunch of stuff that's been going on. For like let's get the tough shit out of the way first. 2023 kind of sucked for me. I had some bad shit happen this year. I had a fucking heart attack. Yeah, if anybody hasn't listened, hasn't paid attention, I like Kevin Smith so much that because he had a heart attack, I felt like I needed to have a heart attack eventually. And so that happened. And if not for Jason's wife, there's a chance that I wouldn't be here right now. Well, Marie / Jason's wife. I would not be here right now.
Marie is not Jason's wife.
No, Marie /
and
Marie
Letha's
Green
Letha.
and Letha Mayer. Marie Green forcing your wife, Letha Mayer, to take me to the hospital to essentially save my life because I was just trying to ride it out. So lots of life-changing shit since then. Found out I had diabetes, so got to deal with that. Got to deal with a lot of health changes, lifestyle changes, stuff that sucks. But hopefully going to turn out for the better. I mean, I'm down like over 20 pounds since the heart attack. So I guess eating healthier and exercising and things like that are doing better for my. I have a lot better time breathing now. I don't get as labored in breathing. So yeah, things as shitty as the heart attack was, got through that. And then between the last recording and this episode, my excuse me, my 15, 16-year-old dog Snoopy has passed away. Um, Kind of rough. It happened really quick. Within about 6 days, he ended up going from being his normal self to his legs started not working right, so he would like try to walk around and just fall down, and then he would just decide he was gonna lay where he was, so I'd have to pick him up and like move him back to his bed and stuff. Eventually got to the point where like even when I was going to bed at night, he didn't want to get up to walk into the bedroom, so I'd have to pick him up and carry him into the bedroom and put him in his bed in there. Um, then got to the point where he had stopped eating. I was trying to force feed him. I was trying to force water into him. Like even like Snoopy, when Snoopy was Snoopy, if you put water in his bowl, he would run from anywhere in the apartment. Like he knew where water was. I know when you watched him at your house, you had to keep an eye. Like you had to move your water dishes because he, as anybody who knows Snoopy knows, he would drink water until there was no water to be drank, and he could smell it from like 4 rooms away. So um, I kind of knew things were getting bad when I would put water in his dish. He would watch me do it from his bed, and then he just wouldn't even get up to like he just didn't even have the desire to go after water anymore. So I was kind of when that started happening, I kind of had to start coming to terms that this is where things were going. So about 2 days after that, I came home from work. It had gotten to the point where I didn't even lock him up when I went to work in his crate because he just wouldn't move while I wasn't home. Came home, found him laying in his bed, just kind of not really there, but kind of there. I mean, he was still breathing and he still had his eyes open and would look at me. So that night, I just kind of picked him up and held him in my arms for about 2 hours, and then he stopped breathing. And that was really rough and that was tough and that sucked really bad. And I mean, you were the first person that I texted because I just didn't know who to text or who to like. I've never felt so alone as I did in that moment where, like, you know, as alone as I've been for the last year and a half, I still always had him. Like, I had him to talk to, I had him when I came home. Like, I had him he gave me purpose. I had somebody to take care of. It I just didn't know who to reach out to in that moment. So you're the first person that I texted, and then I appreciate the fact that you reached out to a couple of our friends and let them know what was going on, and they reached out to me that night and gave me a lot of support. So that really meant a lot and helped. Like I sat there on the floor of my apartment with him for a couple of hours after he passed away, just talking to his body and getting texts from our friends and whatnot. And so yeah, so that was rough, man. And like I know you've gone through this with a couple of dogs. Like does I mean you and I talked on Friday night when we were hanging out about some of the stuff that I just talked about, but about just like how empty I feel without him. Like how long is this a thing? Like how long does this emptiness go on?
It's and um it gets easier with time, as everybody says. I mean, you just lost a family member, man. Like you just lost a son, if you want to look at it that way. You just lost a family member. I mean, a pet is a family member, especially, well, I mean, to us anyway, right? Because other people don't take care of them the way that you and I do. I knowing what I know about dogs, one of the things that my first two that Letha and I had were twins from the same litter. And once they got to, I think they were 11 or 12 years old, is when I convinced Letha to get another puppy. And that's when we got Thor. And it was because my main concern was if one of them passed, if they didn't have another dog in the house, that they might not bounce back from the loss. And so I did that. We had Thor, so that helped ease some stuff, going from 3 dogs down to 2. And then when we lost Kaylee, when we had to put her, as my youngest son likes to tell people, we murdered our dog. He likes to tell people that we killed our dog, Drake passed away, but we killed Kaylee. And then I laugh about it now. I mean, it's always true, right? But the fact remains that Kaylee was always more of our baby than Drake was. And that's because we got her when she was really small. Drake we got when he was like 9 or 10 months old. So he was a little bit more full size by the time we got him. But Kaylee was very much your Snoopy, essentially.
Right.
Because we had her when she was really, really little and we raised her all the way. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like having Bella around makes it a whole lot easier. Bella is my new black lab mix that looks a heck of a lot like Kaylee did. So it's
felt bad when I dog sitted for you the first time this summer, or like in October, whenever it was. I felt really bad because when I first came over, I called her Kaylee a couple of times before I remembered. Oh, you're not Kaylee. That's my bad. Sorry for calling you the wrong name.
Oh, whatever, man. Like the dog knows. Oh,
Well,
I
sure.
hate Shane. Called me the wrong name.
I just
No,
felt dumb when I did it.
I get that. But yeah, Bella definitely was a major help along the lines. Especially once
How long were you a one dog household?
like a month.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh, dude, she passed like uh the day after Easter.
Okay.
On Easter, we started seeing a lot of the same things that you were seeing with Snoop. She couldn't walk very well. She had an accident. We got her outside on the deck, and she peed on the deck, which she never did. Like,
oh, wow.
it was just as, in my opinion, it was just like her having an accident inside the house. She never would have done it. But yeah, she made it outside, could barely get up and could barely move, and had peed while she was laying on the deck. So I can tell you, it does get easier with time. It's different, I think, especially for being a parent, and I don't have the time and the energy that I spent on my original dogs with my newer dogs.
Okay.
Because of the kiddos. So and the kids take up a lot of time and energy. So I have that outlet as well. So that kind of shields it or redirects that energy. But getting Bella, but you have to remember, I just put out some feelers, and Letha ended up seeing a picture of the lady who was giving away Bella, and the picture was literally a spitting image of what we remember of Kaylee as a pup. So it was like, there was, as soon as she saw it, I was like, I want the pup. So so getting another dog would be helpful if that's what you want. If you don't want to do it, because goodness knows that anybody who takes care of dogs, you have a lot to worry about. Finding someone to watch them when you're out of town, finding the time and energy to make sure you get back to your apartment or home to take care of them and make sure they're fed, because they are a living being that is dependent on you.
Like, that was one of the hardest things in the days afterwards, where like somebody would ask me, hey, do you want to go do this tonight after work, or do you want to go do this or something? And I'm like, oh, I can't. Like, I got to make sure I run home and take care of Snoopy before. Oh, I don't. I guess I can go straight from work to hang out with somebody, or like, you know, sometimes when I was out late and I was kind of looking for an excuse to go home, it was like, oh, hey, Snoopy's been locked up for a long time. I need to go home and take care of him. Quick and easy excuse and way to get out of hanging out with like, not that I didn't want to hang out with people, but if I just was at a point where I was ready to go, it was a quick and easy way to be like, oh, hey, like Snoopy's been locked up all day. I really need to get home and let him out. I got to bounce, whatever. I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, like it's been 21 days since he passed away, and I still have a diaper of his sitting right there. I still haven't emptied the food out of his bowl that I put in the last day. Um, like I've still got 50 diapers over there from the last package that I opened up. Like, I just haven't I don't know what to do with this stuff. I have a half a bag of dog food in my cabinet. I have two giant bags of treats and a treat container that I don't know. It's probably like a bag of treats at least in there still. I don't know. Like I don't know what to do with it. Like I know I have to throw it away eventually. Like there's no reason for me to keep it. It's just
All
taking
right.
up space. But like I haven't brought myself to clean up from him yet. Like I'm mentally not ready to do it yet. So
I get you. Whenever you are, the Humane Society takes a lot of donations. They can take stuff. There's one at like 116th Street or 106, sorry. No,
okay,
the Hamilton Humane Society is right up at 106th Street. It's quicker to get there than it would be to go to the Indianapolis one on the west side. So,
sure,
you've got that. The other thing is that like my wife and I both belong to a group called Buy Nothing Fishers.
okay,
You could probably find something for Buy Nothing Castleton or Buy
okay,
Nothing Indianapolis or something. Just a Facebook group that literally gives away all sorts of stuff that they no longer want in their house. And I
okay,
do see people give away stuff like that all the time.
okay,
Hey, my dog passed. Anybody looking for, or like, people will put, I'm in search of a dog crate or
okay,
something along those lines. So if you want to, when you're ready to get rid of them, whether you want to take pictures of them, put them all in a box and bring them up to my house, and we can do it through the Buy Nothing Fishers group, or if you want to join a Indianapolis group and get rid of it that way, whatever the case may be, I am happy
that's a good
to
idea.
help in any way. Um, um, you tend to really like beagles,
Yep.
and and I think it's your stubbornness because they're one of the hardest dogs to train.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I always think it's funny that you're like, I want a beagle, and I'm like, that's Shane for you, and like stubborn and always willing to be bullheaded about things, and but yeah, I don't think yeah, you definitely have you love those beagles all because of your Snoopies. So,
You
but yeah, man, what if you need help with that stuff, I'm
okay.
happy to help. I'm sorry that Snoopy's no longer with us, but you know what? You gave him you gave him some stories to tell when he gets up to where he was going. That he gets to be like, you know what my freaking human did? Like, he gets to tell all sorts of stories like that,
Yeah,
and
we had some fun times.
that and how stubborn you both are, and how you just act like you don't hear people just because you didn't want to deal with it. Um, 'Cause I swear that dog, man, I'd be talking to him and I'd be like, Snoopy, Snoopy, Snoopy. And then like couldn't hear anything. You opened a treat bag and or poured the water, like you said, and all of a sudden it was like,
Yeah.
I'm right here. What's going on? It's like, oh, you mother.
He definitely had selective hearing, like 100%. Like there would be times where he would know I was wanting his attention for something, and then he'd give me the attention. Then there'd be other times where I'd be trying to get his attention, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have treats or water? Nah, bro. I'm just gonna act like I don't hear you."
Not interested today, Dad. Leave me
Yeah.
alone. But yeah, man.
Cool. So those two shitty
No,
topics to fucking shitty stuff in 2023. Do you have any shitty stuff in 2023 to address?
yeah, I do have shitty stuff that happened in 2023, but it's not my personal stuff. So
Okay.
um, just stuff that I have to deal with and or assist in dealing with and affects me mentally and stuff. Don't know if I'm ready to talk about that stuff yet. So
Understandable, man. Makes sense. I am sorry for that shit that you're dealing with. I'm kind of adjacent to it, just because I know you. So I am sorry having to see you deal with it. So
thank you for that.
I hope it gets better.
Yep.
Um,
We have to hold on to that hope that it will.
yeah.
So
So I'm wishing the best for you and those involved, and just hope hope for a lot more better than any more worse. So
yep, definitely.
awesome. Well, let's talk about something funny now. Let's talk about something funny. Anybody that knows me or knows my group of friends knows I got a Bayern brother of mine named Garrett Miller. I call him Garrett Mueller just because I like to give people German names. But so Garrett hates France. Garrett hates France. I dislike France, but he takes my dislike and just way beyond it. So it was really funny this year when his wife had every year. His wife's a teacher. Every year in the summer, they have a get together, an event where they go and do teacher shit in European countries. So a couple of years ago, they were in Germany. This year, they went to France. So my buddy Garrett, who hates France, got to spend a week in France. And we made a lot of baguette jokes about him being over there, and his wife took it to an extreme level. Her goal was to get photos of him with baguettes while they were over there, and she only accomplished that once. So she took a bunch of photos from him this year and photoshopped baguettes into the photos with him. And like it starts off with just a wonderful she turned it into a calendar. It's a pretty awesome calendar. So yeah, so she went through, took a bunch of photos of him. Like here's him at the Eiffel Tower kissing a baguette. That was pretty hilarious. February is him with a baguette. March and April are just other funny photos of him with baguettes. They're in June. My birth month has him sleeping with a baguette. That's like, I'm gonna actually probably just like scroll these photos on the screen while I'm talking about it since it's not showing up very well. But like, I got to be in one of the photos for September. He took a picture from our Shanktoberfest and put a baguette in all of our hands while we were wearing lederhosen. So hats off to Kara. She did an amazing job with this calendar. She handed them out to a bunch of us a couple of weeks ago. She gave one to every member of the Bayern group. So that's just a really awesome thing that she did. It was top notch. Well done, Kara. Absolutely hilarious. What a great joke. Very, very proud to have been a small part of getting that made and being a part of it. And she nailed it with her Photoshop skills on that. It was very well done and a lot of fun. On last month's episode, you told me that you and Letha were going to try to watch Secret Santa because as last episode went and as this episode went, I talk about Secret Santa a lot. Did that happen?
It did not. I'm not gonna lie to you.
There's always next year. We'll try again next year.
Dude, everything in the month of December has just been like,
sure,
it's so fast going in every direction that yeah, I'm sorry that I don't have that for you.
That's all good.
But yeah, that's where we're at. I have not seen it.
All right. So. Well, then on to my next Jason question. I was present for Christmas. I saw one of your Christmas presents. So I think our listeners need an update on some of your DVD stuff or Blu-ray stuff. I don't even know if they're DVDs or Blu-rays anymore. I don't even know. What's an update on
you can't do an actual you can't do 3D on DVD unless you're doing the red and white. The stereographic is only on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Because of how much information is on it. So
makes sense. So your Blu-ray, you got some 3D stuff to update us on.
I did. I am now up to 124 3D movies on Blu-ray. And
so I know you're a part of some groups. Is there like a grand total number? Like, are you at like 128 out of like 200? Or are you at 128 out of like 400?
Like, I've got 124 out
124,
of.
Sorry.
It's probably somewhere in the realm of like 500 or 600.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
At least. It might be closer to 800 if you include all of like the documentary ones and like the IMAX ones, and then you also have pornographic 3D ones, which I do not own any of those.
All right, Christmas and birthday present.
I would tell you if I did. But no, for Christmas, I don't love these movies, but the director I'm talking about and makes wonderful movies most of the time. But then he decided to go make one book that was very, very short into 3 very long movies. But I love his Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I really enjoy his extended cuts of the Lord of the Rings. I've never seen the extended cuts of The Hobbit, so I'm hoping that there'll be better movies as extended cuts compared to the theatrical versions. but my parents ended up getting me the trilogy of The Hobbit in 3D, and they are the extended editions. That was one of my Christmas gifts. Also recently I purchased Kiss Me Kate on 3D, which is a musical
No, I'm not
where
familiar with
that
it.
it's a musical that did oh my gosh, my daughter did a report on a famous person from Indiana, and the person that she chose or she ended up getting for her project was Cole Porter.
Oh, okay.
So and he wrote the music for Kiss Me Kate. So I ended up getting that so that we could watch that together and she could enjoy that. But yeah, so
Does anybody stream 3D movies? Like, is it streaming 3D possible?
it is. It is.
Okay.
There's a few of them. Most of it's through Voodoo if you're
Oh,
going to
okay.
do it.
Okay.
I own the Three Musketeers with like, oh God, the oh gosh, who is that? I can't remember the guy who played D'Artagnan in that version. It's got Ray Winestone.
Yeah, I know the
It
version you're
was
talking
a
about, but
very good version.
yeah,
It wasn't a very good version.
I can't remember
So
the kid's name, but I know the version you're talking about.
I think he was the kid who was in the Maze Runner, the Three Musketeers.
That timeline doesn't seem
I
right.
might be wrong. I might be wrong. I am wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Logan
okay.
Lerman is D'Artagnan. And what else did that kid do? No,
He did
he
a
is not one of my
TV.
favorites.
He did a TV series that I
He
like.
did Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yes. Yep.
Did Fury. He's on Hunters.
Mhm.
He was in The Patriot as a smaller part. Why is my move from favorites? But Ray Stevenson, sorry, not Weinstone.
There you go.
Ray
Yeah, yeah, I see
Stevenson,
him.
Mila Jovovich, Luke Evans is in it, Orlando Bloom, uh
Mhm.
Mads Mikkelsen, Christoph Waltz is in it. This was like the first thing that Christoph Waltz did, like right after,
2011, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And this was like what he did right after, what was that? Inglorious
Glorious
Bastards.
Bastards. Yeah.
Yeah. So he plays Cardinal Richelieu.
I mean, it had
Um
a great cast. I just remember the movie just being blah, like just being
it
okay.
was. I bought it on I've never owned a 3D streaming movie.
Gotcha.
And it was on like a super sale. So I was like, I want to see what this is like. I
Nice.
bought it thinking I could use Voodoo from my TV or whatever. And
Okay.
then that didn't end up working out. So I ended up so I owned it for like a year. And then I finally got a Apple TV, like 4K,
Oh, okay.
64 gigabyte one that could play that
Okay.
version. So that's the only way you can get Super Mario Brothers in 3D is through Voodoo.
Oh,
Um, and then there's a couple of other movies that you can't get anymore on Blu-ray, or if you do, you're buying them from like Japan and they're like 50 to 80 or $100 a piece, and I refuse. The only one that I've ever purchased that was that high cost wise was T2.
okay.
They did not do a US release of the Blu-ray, the 3D Blu-ray. They only did the only one that was region free was a Japanese version. And I waited until that was on sale. So I ended up paying like $42 for that. But considering it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I
Sure.
never got to see it, and I missed it while it was in 3D at the theaters because we didn't get it for some stupid reason. Um, that was while we were like getting no 3D movies booked while we were working at the theater for some
Gotcha.
reason. But yeah, so I missed out on it and I paid $42. I think it was 42 for T2 because
Have
it
you
in my
watched it?
opinion, it would be worth it. Yeah, it's
Was it good?
wonderful. Oh, it's a great transfer.
Good.
Um, James Cameron like did the 3D transfer himself too. Like he was heavily involved with making sure it got done properly. And
Nice.
so yeah, like it's a really solid one. That Predator, Titanic, all solid transfers going into 3D that weren't 3D originally.
Oh,
So,
I didn't even know there was a Predator in 3D. That's cool.
dude, when he takes off the mask
Uh-huh.
for the end of the movie, and like he's got all the different layers from like all like his face,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. That and
Nice.
like the guerrilla warfare scene at the very beginning of the movie when they infiltrate the bad guys and they're like shooting up the place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome, awesome depth to it. It's really cool. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Well, before we get into the next category of stuff to talk about, you got any random potpourri stuff you want to bring up? Anything else on your mind you want to talk about?
Do you have it on here? Oh yeah,
Is it on
yeah.
there? Okay, yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, we can just talk about it later as
Okay.
far as that goes. No,
No?
I'm good.
Cool. Well, then let's move on to the potpourri part that I'm very excited about. Post heart attack, post losing Snoopy, not having drive or motivation in life at the moment. I'm excited about a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about here in a minute. For anybody who doesn't know, starting in 1999, you and I started doing film stuff together. We didn't make our first movie until the next year in 2000, but in September of '99, you and I said, I mean, honestly, it started in April of '99 with our first failed project that we had, which transitioned into September of '99 when we started writing Consternate, which we then made in 2000. Um, yeah, getting to be creative with you is something I've always loved. The movies that we made, any of the random stuff that we've done has always been a blast. Last year, or this year, technically, in 2023, we did a couple of small things together, including Sarah's Cookie Wars for the selling of Girl Scout cookies. And yeah, you brainstormed an idea about doing some Star Wars stuff, and we made something that I'm very proud of that I thought was pretty cool. You've spent an entire year coming up with some pretty awesome ways to expand it. So the first thing I want to talk about creatively, the next few topics we're going to talk about are all creative stuff that we have coming up in the next 2 years. But the first one I want to talk about is you've got a plan and a plot for Cookie Wars 2, which I just called it Cookie Wars Episode 2. I don't know if you have a title for it yet. But you got some ideas to take the idea of Ray delivering cookies across the galaxy, and I'm very excited that we're going to work on that here soon together. You want to talk about that?
I think you're being a little premature with some stuff, but I mean, for the most part, you hit my daughter is selling cookies. She I need to get some stuff put together so that I can get things moving in the right direction for it. Um, I'm thinking about us calling it Cookie Wars, The Empire Bakes Back.
Oh, I like
Um,
that. I like that. Okay,
um,
okay.
and but yeah, because of my nerdum and silliness that comes with it, um, our friend Mark and my brother Mike made my son's Star Wars birthday party pretty awesome. You dressed up like a Jedi. You should insert that picture here. Um, and then yeah, so you dressed up like a Jedi, Mark dressed up like the Mandalorian, and then Mike dressed up as Darth Vader for us. And yeah, and then I dressed up a little bit like an X-Wing pilot Jedi person. So but yeah, it's something that you and I, oh geez, when was that? That would have been 99 was the first one, 02 was the second one. So I think it was around 2000. It was right after we shot Consternate. We were going to put together a Star Wars fan film.
Yep.
That never came to fruition the way that we wanted it to. What's
Which
interesting
sucks
now
because
is
Lucas stole my idea of having a Jedi killer when he had Darth or when he had General Grievous with all the lightsabers. Like that was my idea before like mine was gonna be a Wookiee that did it. Um, but yeah, oh man, like I wish that fan film would have happened. We put a lot of pre-production stuff into it, including the shorts you're about to talk about.
well, yeah, we did some lightsaber battles back in the day,
Yeah,
um, that you did a lot of editing on. But with everything that we have at our disposal nowadays, and how much easier it should be, um, I definitely want to make Cookie Wars Part 2, and and see what we can do to A, help Sarah sell some cookies, but B, also to just get to the point where we're having fun and being creative, being able
absolutely.
to being able to shoot on our phones with the resolution that we do get off of that is kind of silly and stupid. Um, so like, why not take advantage of that? I've got a few toys, you've got a few toys that, as far as like production equipment and stuff that we can use, that can definitely help with that kind of stuff. So there's no reason why we shouldn't take advantage of that and have fun while we're doing it. So
Well, and another toy that I've been having my eye on, but will probably be bought before we shoot Cookie Wars to kind of make filming slash editing a little easier. Um, getting getting a 4K or 5K camera that shoots directly onto SD cards so that we don't have to upload stuff to the cloud, is on my radar because of some of the other projects that we've also got coming up.
so yeah, we should be able to, Cookie Wars will be fun, and
I
that's my
mean,
next thing.
you're telling me I'm getting premature, but bro, like we filmed it last February. Like she's gonna start selling cookies here soon.
Yeah, my wife pointed that out. My wife was like, we start selling cookies at the end of January, right? And I was like, fine, okay.
Yeah, we
So I've got to reach out to a friend of ours who has a green screen, a portable green screen system, and we can take that. We've got a shooting location that'll make that easy, where we can control the environment completely.
yep.
Um, and so I mean, we have everything that we need to get it moving in the right direction. We just got to find the time. I got to finish fleshing out what kind of story, and like, I was thinking it might actually, even if it's just stick figures, and kind of storyboard it out so that we can
Yeah.
figure out exactly how I want to kind of go about it. Although I kind of liked how we did last year. It was a little bit easier to be able to, maybe it's just our guerrilla filmmaking style, that we just never really got into storyboards at all, and it's
Sure.
more about how it feels, and I don't and it call it lazy, go ahead, like, you know what I mean, like but it feels more genuine when we're trying to figure out what we're doing when we're there.
Well, and I mean,
Because
even on Reunion, when I actually did try to do storyboards, A, they were just stick figures, and B, it didn't always turn out the way that I stick figured it out on storyboards. Like we just kind of we're both very in the moment what actually looks good with the environment that we have.
yeah, because it's, I mean, we don't have professional scouts going out and looking at
Yeah.
things and everything else, so it's a little bit easier to just deal with it. But yeah, I don't know. So Cookie Wars 2, looking forward to it. And then I jokingly talked about a different kind of short film that would be kind of funny and silly. And then you're trying to make me stick to it and trying to make me actually make this film. But I don't want to. You have it as something we want to talk about. I don't want to talk about this because I think it's such a genius idea that I don't want to leave it out there in the ether, because I'd rather us be able to film the whole thing and finally show it, and then just be totally like, let people be exposed to it that way. But because I
Okay.
think that would be a lot more fun.
Then I will not discuss the plot, but I
So
will say that you made a mistake by pitching me a Christmas themed idea for a short film. Because in the entire time you've known me, I've pre-written 2 different scripts around Christmas time that have nothing to do with what your pitch was about. But you know I love Christmas, and you pitched me an idea that is revolved around Christmas, in the same way that Die Hard is revolved around Christmas.
Oh, shut up.
But I'm not. But I'm saying like it's something that I loved the pitch when you pitched it to me, and as your producer, I'm going to push you to come up with it, or I might pre-come up with it and make you flesh it out. But I think it's genius. I understand why you don't want to put it out there for anybody else to potentially steal from us talking, because obviously, like I explained, Lucas stole stuff from me with episode 2 and a Jedi killer. So obviously, we have great ideas that Hollywood steals. And I mean, like, we just went and watched a movie a couple of weeks ago that obviously Hollywood stole the idea for the book that I never finished, because The Shift was a very similar plot to a novel that I wrote 38 chapters of. And yeah, so I understand you not wanting to talk about it yet, but I will say you made a mistake by pitching me a Christmas idea that I really love, and I really think it's a great idea. And even if we just make it into a 20-minute short, I think it could be a lot of fun. I think we have the friend group to cast it easily. And as long as we get the plot and the story figured out, like you said, we currently have a location at our disposal that we could film some of this stuff in and make it pretty dope. And yeah, so we can leave everything else ambiguous, but hopefully by next Christmas we have a Christmas project to release. Because I'd be really excited about it, because I think it was a genius idea. I love it, and I want to make it happen. My announcement for 2024. 2024 is the 25th anniversary of 1999. In 2002, I started the 23-year anniversary of 1999 by doing Shane Talks 99. And I got all the way up through the May 19th episode every week on the day correlating with release dates in 1999. I would do an episode of the podcast by myself and just talk about the movies that were released on that day in 1999. And I loved it. It kind of made me go out and buy a bunch of old VHS tapes. I bought a lot of them on digital so that I could watch them, because I hadn't seen them since 1999. But then, unfortunately, the divorce happened, and I just lost all motivation for doing podcasts. And then I thought about maybe trying to redo it again this year, and it just didn't. It by the time it came to May, I just still wasn't ready to do it. So next year, for the 25th anniversary of 1999, I am finally going to do the last 7 months of Shane Talks 99, where I will start with in May. I don't think anything released on May 26th. I think everything was afraid of competing with Star Wars. So I don't believe May 26th will have an episode. But obviously, June will kick off with Tarzan. I think June. No, Tarzan was later in June, wasn't it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I know it was released in June. I just can't remember if it was the beginning of June or the end. But yeah, so there's a lot of movies coming up in 1999 that I'm excited to talk about. Well, because I'm excited to talk about anything 1999. But I mean, we got Tarzan and the Iron Giant. Just thinking of 2 kids movies off the top of my head. That summer's gonna suck when I have to talk about Wild Wild West though. So there will be some doubt. Oh, and I'll have to talk about South Park as well. I was not a fan of that movie that summer, but
June 18th is Tarzan.
18th. Okay, cool. So it won't be the first. Then I think the first June episode is going to be Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. I think that was early in June that year. We'll see. Whatever the case may be, the first weekend there was a released movie after Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, will be the episode I kick that back up and get those put out. And I'm excited about doing that. Then we have a 2025 announcement. Don't shake your head, man, because we had a lot of fun on Friday night talking about this with a lot of our friends, and they were very supportive of it. So, our friend Mark, for years, has been pushing me to write a movie called C2. In the vein of Terminator 2, he thinks the sequel should be called C2, and it will be a Consternate sequel. Spoilers for a movie that's almost 25 years old. You're the killer and you get away with it at the end of Consternate. And we always kind of left it open to follow Chris Geller and where he went next.
Chris Geller will return, is what we said at the end of that movie.
We did,
Always thought
100%.
that was going to happen.
We always did, and it is finally going to happen. And man, like I want to say stuff, but I don't want to say because I obviously don't want to give plot points away for the movie. But you and I. So anyway, first up, I finally talked to Mark and I were talking at Luke's birthday party, and he was pushing me for it again, and he was kind of trying to convince me, hey, here's the things that are why this should be on your radar right now, why you should do it, and it finally just clicked with me that 2025, December of 2025, will be the 25th anniversary of Consternate. We released it on December 19th of 2000. So 25 years sounds like a good time to put a sequel out. Because like that's the big thing right now. Like look at Top Gun, like look at Ghostbusters. Like you take something from a long time ago and you do the sequel now. So for the 25th anniversary, I have promised Mark that in 2024 I will write the sequel. And in 2025, we will film it and we will get it ready to be released by December of 2025. So that's the announcement that I'm officially committing myself to. I'm hoping you're on board for it because you and I on Friday night had a great brainstorming session and we came up with a plot that I think we could roll with. I've thought of some more stuff to add to it to talk to you about later, but I want to connect pretty much all of our Gemini films. So a lot of our friends that we still have that are alive that were in other movies, and by alive I mean they didn't get killed off in Consternate. That's not what I meant by like friends that are in our stuff that are not alive in real life anymore. I mean like they survived Consternate.
The Gemini Films universe.
Yes. I want to take some characters from Reunion and bring them into this. Want to maybe see about bringing a character or two from To Change the World and bring them into this.
So you're basically making Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
But with a serial killer who's killing off all of these characters from our universe that was always connected. We always had these characters that were friends with other characters in other movies that cameoed in other movies. So we always set it up. It was all in the same universe. So somebody kills off some people and we keep killing off other characters from our other movies to bring it all together, that all these movies were connected. And I will talk to you about who I have my theory of this being and how I want to do this with you. And then I have a way where the cliffhanger of C2 is going to lead into perhaps in the future we finally make the hallway movie.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the cliffhanger from C2, how I see that playing out and then ending is going to end with a character that was brainstormed in the 2000 script outline that myself, Dave Lichty, and Scott Grove put together that I tried turning into a novel back in like 2015. I started writing a novel based on the hallway, taking all the characters. We had a really fleshed out, we were going to make a Twin Peaks style television show called The Hallway, and we were going to do a lot of really weird and crazy stuff with it. And I loved what we were doing, so I got permission from Scott and Dave to try to turn it into a novel. And I just never finished that because, like most of my novels, I start writing and then I get distracted. So anyway, one of the main characters from The Hallway that never occurred, I think I got a way to bring them into the loop as the cliffhanger of C2, so that perhaps eventually we could make the Hallway movie down the maybe not a TV show or a book anymore, but maybe condense it down into a movie for the Hallway, bringing that character into this universe also. I don't know. I'll pitch it to you, try to explain to you how I see these dots connecting, but I'm
on
excited.
Different side note.
Yeah, go for it.
We got to talk to Tony and Nate and Micah.
Yep.
And we got to see one of our old employees when we went to go see Phoenix on the Fault Line on Friday.
Yep.
And got to spend a lot of time just chatting and hanging out and fleshing some things out. And it's always a great time. Micah, who did the music for our
the intro music for the
show
show.
here.
Yep.
Our intro to the show. Thank you so much for that, sir.
Well, and like that was great chatting with him because part of the conversation was, hey, when we make Consternate 2 that I've committed to now, would you be up for helping us with the music on it? Which I know Mark can also be involved with it. I don't know about pairing Mark and Micah together. Like, I'm not that I don't think they could work together. I don't know if Mark would be interested, but Mike has at least said that he would be interested in writing some music for us for it. So we've definitely got that. Obviously, we can use Mark's band music at various points in the movie and whatnot. But yeah, so
maybe even some Phoenix on the Fault Line stuff.
Absolutely, that would be a blast to have them involved. So yeah, got to see Nate, got to see Tony, got Tony to commit to playing his character from Reunion, who was a complete douchebag who deserves to die. So while our main character attempted to kill him in Reunion, we'll actually finish it this time in C2. Micah has agreed to be willing to play a character. I don't remember where he's been in our universe. I feel like he's done something, but maybe he's only ever done music for us. Why do I feel like Mike has been in something? I'm gonna
I
have to
don't know
look
if he's
into
ever
that.
been. He's been in our videos.
True. Yeah,
He was at least in a music video somewhere.
Anyway,
I don't know if he was actually in any of the movies.
Nate was our bartender in Crazy About You, so I don't know if we necessarily will bring him back as the bar. I mean, we could possibly. I mean, I have access to bars, so we could always film at a bar, and it could always be old Nate still being a bartender. We could definitely write that into the script somehow.
Building. Are you friends with people that run that building?
With which building?
Where we shot previously.
Oh yeah.
Where we shot previously.
Yes. Yep.
So we could potentially even get back into the same building and use the same location. Potentially.
Yep. If not, I am closer friends with other bar owners where we would have access to a different bar that I could guarantee easier than. But yes, I potentially with the right string pulling could get us back into the exact same bar.
Well, and if worse comes to worse, we could always talk about how that original bar like burned down,
sure,
for insurance purposes or something, and then they rebuilt the bar, and now it's magically the ones we have access to.
Yeah.
So
absolute worst case, I can write a scene for a bar and 100% guarantee a bar to film it in, but I can still also try to get us back in the exact same bar where we shot Crazy About You at. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that I can pull that off. So that would be cool. That's definitely something that we could try to work into this, get Nate back in, have a scene take place at the bar, and then, much like, Amber's scene leaving working the movie theater, Nate leaves working the bar and ends up getting killed. Because, yeah, I mean, like, I'm probably going to follow a lot of the dots that we had laid out in the original Consternate as far as how things play out. A lot less time with people on the phone, though. I think I'm going to try to make myself not have people talking on landlines in a 2025 movie. Yeah. I might throw one scene in there just for nostalgic purposes. I really wish I still had access to my parents' house because that would be cool. But I don't, and I have no way of making that happen. But I mean, your brother survived Consternate, so we can definitely bring back Larry McKenzie for a scene. Looking forward to doing that. I don't know if you're still in contact with Matt Gibson. We might have to reach out to Chris Spurgeon, get a couple of our Crazy About You reunion people, get them looped back in, and try to kill them off.
Gibby lives in California.
Oh, well, that's going to be really
but
difficult.
I do know that he comes back into town every now and then.
Okay.
So if we had it at least ahead of time, we might be able to figure that out.
Okay, so yeah, that could be fun. We can make that work. We could literally set a scene in a bar with him Chris Spurgeon, your brother, all in a bar together while Nate's working. And then follow them all as they leave the bar that night as they all get killed off. Definitely working out some plot points now for the movie, so that could be a fun way to do that. But yeah, I am excited. I have been brainstorming a lot in my head. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I want to throw at you that I don't want to talk about publicly, obviously. But yeah, so I am excited that I feel in 2024 I have a purpose. I am going to write the sequel to the movie that the very first feature film that we made together, and find a way for us to make it. And I'm excited about that. Um, yeah, it feels like it gives me purpose. So it was a lot of fun Friday night hanging out because I mean, sitting around with Micah and Tony and Nate while we were talking about this and kind of reminiscing about some of our old times when we were doing filmmaking stuff, like ideas were just flowing. And like at one point, Tony made a comment and he was just like, or you could, go completely ridiculous and you could do this. And it was hilarious because you and I had literally talked about doing the same thing like 30 minutes earlier. And we were like, oh, maybe our ridiculously stupid idea is actually plausible since somebody else is suggesting it also. So just sitting around brainstorming with them and talking about
Definitely.
Doing stuff was awesome. What were you about to say?
No, I think you're right on point. But yeah, it's a good episode, sir.
Yeah, lots of fun so far. Anything potpourri leftover related that you want to bring up, address, talk about? Anything?
Super stoked for us to go see Serenity on the big screen again. That's happening this month.
Yep.
We're at Flicks Brew House. I think that was what, the 13th?
13th, and then a couple days later is the Iron Giant.
13th is January the 13th. So there's a 7:00 showing of Serenity. I'm super excited about that. I don't know if I can make the Iron Giant or not because of the fact that we have some stuff going on that same weekend.
Gotcha.
If I were to go, I would have to go on the Sunday.
Okay.
But I'm trying to figure out because we have some stuff going on. I'd love to see the Iron Giant on the big screen again. Fantastic movie. If you've never seen it, take the time to watch it.
Absolutely.
And but yeah, we super stoked about Serenity. My wife's joining us for that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hopefully some of our other friends that we've invited join us as well.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah, looking forward to that. So
very cool. Yeah.
Got anything cool for Christmas?
Not really. No, money is what I get for Christmas now, so it literally just goes to pay bills. I'm trying to think if I bought myself anything cool.
Tickets to Disney.
That's true. Yep. So yeah, that's where a lot of my Christmas money went, was to pay for that vacation. So yeah, that's when we're down there, I will be enjoying my Christmas. So it's gonna be a blast. Go ahead.
Nope, we're good.
Oh, so yeah, great episode. I literally have no idea what we're gonna do for February. So I have nothing to announce for next month. I haven't even thought about guests that we could possibly have on. I have no idea what we're gonna do for March this year. I literally have no idea what we're gonna do for March. But April, I've got April planned out. I'm gonna try to get Jason Richardson and Troy on together for the April episode because as there's an NFL draft in April, I want to do a musical draft. Not musical like musicals, but a music draft. I guess that would be a better term for it. So I think in our April episode will be you, me, Troy, and Jason Richardson picking songs from various categories to put together our playlist. And then your poll for that next month will be putting up a graphic with all of our songs that we chose, and we'll ask people who had the best draft, and we'll get an answer that way. So yeah, but before we get to April, I got to figure out what we're going to talk about in February. Trying to stay away from doing romantic movies, but we'll figure something out. We'll find a twist on that somehow, maybe. But yeah, and then March, I have no idea. So Been too focused on putting together the C2 ideas, man. Mark finally got in my head, man. But yeah. So awesome, brother. Again, thank you so much for including me with your family stuff for Christmas. It meant a lot to me.
Of course.
Yep. Thank you to my other friends that included me in Christmas stuff. Everybody that reached out for Christmas, like it sucks being alone at the holidays, but I mean, I am very blessed that I have a lot of great friends that, like you and your family and the Miller family, that make sure that I'm not as alone as I think I am. So, really appreciate everybody that made that. So, dude, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you to everybody who's listening, and we'll be back with some topic in the month of February. Until next month, I don't have a good catchphrase to end the episode with. Deuces.